Jiang Fan just traded a world artifact for a saint crystal, and now Yun Wong Xiao's sword is sliding through her heart. Betrayal in the archaic hunting grounds tastes exactly like a friend's last smile. Leave a like and follow the path before the next tribulation hits. Fan, he relied on the invisibility technique to flee to an uninhabited area before stopping. He found that a 4 was added next to the name on the crown. It displayed his achievements in battle. According to the hunter's owner, all achievements are based on quantity. Killing a 2-star Blood Demon King and a 1-star Blood Demon King makes no difference. Jiang Fan nodded to himself. The last use of the flawless domain, in exchange for 4 Blood Demon Kings, isn't too much of a loss. However, I fear there might be no chance to compete for first place. After witnessing the battle prowess and wisdom of the giant Demon King, he quickly made a judgment. With his heavenly person decline combat power, he couldn't possibly compete against young Master Xiang, Liu Bianwang, and Yun Wong Xiao, as well as those hidden unknown great venerate-level experts. They are the kind who kill gods and slay Buddhas, and no ancient blood demon that meets them can escape their grasp. How could Jiang Fan compete against them? Unless he could infinitely activate the flawless domain, and it must happen when many ancient giants, such as in the battle between Central Earth and the Heavenly Realm, are in their later period injured to succeed. But where could he get an infinite domain to use? Roar, roar, roar. Suddenly, a series of dense roars came from the direction of the Bronze Plains. It was the ferocious beasts from the park, advancing towards this direction, pushing them into the deepest part of the park. Among them, a deep and thundering growl sounded particularly familiar. As if heading directly towards him, it was unmistakably that white tiger. Jiang Fan's mouth twitched, this vengeful creature. He scrambles to his feet and started running, soon hearing the sounds of intense combat nearby. He saw a young man covered in space storage devices fleeing in panic. On the crown above his head, the words Poisonous World Jiang Yishan were engraved, with a series of numbers 58 following it. Jiang Fan was taken aback. A heavenly human 2 declines realm, killing 58 blood demon kings. The number was exceptionally exaggerated. He himself had barely reached this number by relying on the flawless domain to kill giant kings in Central Earth. Gazing carefully, he found there were no less than 10 ancient blood demons chasing after him. The strongest among them were 3-star level, but Jiang Yishan was calm and unhurried, blasting open the space storage devices hanging from him as he ran. Some burst into a cloud of poisonous mist, spreading to the surroundings. Others fell to the ground, gathering into a viscous poison swamp. Others released swarms of venomous insects. Each time a space storage device was blasted open, an ancient blood demon would be affected. Within a few breaths, 3 had already fallen. Jiang Fan silently clicked his tongue, now understanding how Jiang Yishan achieved his 58 kill record. This divinity transformation realm expert from the poisonous world undoubtedly had unique skills in poisoning ancient blood demons. If he had similar methods to counter ancient giants, the Battle of Central Earth might have already been ended. Hiss! At this moment, Jiang Yishan took a painful deep breath. It was because that 3-star blood demon king, enraged by his subordinates being poisoned one after another, finally unleashed his wrath. He activated his forehead's original star. It was a dim-colored star representing the soul. The sage-level life-saving jade plaque hanging from Jiang Yishan's chest finally lost its effectiveness after multiple soul attacks. This soul attack, though not lethal, had indeed injured his soul. While his movement was momentarily halted, the 3-star blood demon king fiercely hurled his trident. Jiang Fan hesitated for a moment, but eventually he intervened. He crushed a wish fruit given by Xingyuan Venerable before their grand battle. Deviation! The wish fruit exploded, instantly draining the vast energy within, and the trident did indeed deviate by a hair's breadth. But to miss by a hair means to miss by a mile. As the trident was thrown beside Jiang Yishan, it narrowly grazed his arm. Even so, the power contained within the trident exploded his arm. Fortunately, his life was spared. Jiang Yishan, having snatched back his life, cast a wary glance in Jiang Fan's direction, saying, "Thank you, friend, for your rescue." Jiang Fan replied, "Better leave quickly, the ferocious beasts are approaching." He ignored Jiang Yishan, retrieving a pair of shoes imbued with heavenly human 4 declines body skill from his space mirror to give to Rebellious Guy. "Hurry up and leave." Rebellious Guy was overjoyed. Having devoured the shoes with heavenly human 5 declines speed not long ago, It had already successfully advanced to the four-aperture demon Emperor Peak realm. If it consumed another pair of shoes with heavenly human four-decline speed, wouldn't it directly step into the five-orifice demon Emperor realm? It immediately gobbled them up, and soon a pair of boots appeared on its small claws. It clung to Jiang Fan's arm, saying, "Big brother, hold on tight." Just as they were about to flee, Jiang Yishan hurriedly said, "Wait, could you take me with you?" He was injured and unable to fend off the ancient blood demons behind him, not to mention the countless ferocious beasts rushing from the horizon. Without a prompt escape, he feared he might perish here. The invisible person before him possessed a trace of heavenly human four declines body skill aura, sufficient to help him escape. Yet Jiang Fan utterly refused without a second thought. "You're on your own." He thought it was a waste to let such a poison expert who excels at killing ancient dark creatures die here. But taking Jiang Yishan with him up close was utterly impossible. This man's poison methods are impossible to guard against, and if he harbors any ill intent, using poison on him could have unimaginable consequences. Jiang Yishan also realized what Jiang Fan feared, gritting his teeth, saying, "Friend, you and I have no animosity nor conflicting interest. Why would I cause trouble? Moreover, I need your skills to flee. Hurting you would be digging my own grave, wouldn't it?" Seeing Jiang Fan remain silent and unmoved, he grew increasingly anxious. He decisively took out a handful of space storage devices, saying, "How about considering these as payment?" Jiang Fan's heart was moved. If these poisons were effective against ancient giants, they could certainly save many Central Earth people. But he couldn't trust Jiang Yishan. After a brief contemplation, he took out the immortal binding vine, tossing one end toward Jiang Yishan. "Grab it. Don't come near me. Any movement, and I'll take your life." Holding one end of the immortal binding vine, he clutching a 9-colored crystal with the other hand. Jiang Yishan instantly sensed an extremely dangerous aura from the invisible Jiang Fan. He felt incredibly wary. He was hesitant about grasping the offered immortal binding vine. But the incoming blood demon kings and the distant surging ferocious beasts left him no choice. Grabbing the immortal binding vine, he said, "Thanks for the trouble, friend." Jiang Fan dared not linger, ordering Rebellious Guy to leave before the 3-star blood demon king activated the soul origin again. Go, having obtained such a huge benefit, Rebellious Guy worked especially hard. With 2 small hooves, it disappeared in an instantaneous movement. Before long, when the sounds of roaring could no longer be heard behind them, Jiang Fan immediately had Rebellious Guy stop in a stone pile. Then he vigilantly kept his distance from Jiang Yishan. As for the immortal binding vine, he released a surge of thunder and lightning from his palm, fiercely cleansing the place Jiang Yishan had touched. Once he confirmed there was no toxin, he dared put it away. Jiang Yishan's mouth twitched slightly. "Holding such a dangerous killing device, I wouldn't be so cautious myself." "Friend, aren't you being overly cautious?" Jiang Fan was too lazy to exchange words with him, saying, "Hand over the things." Jiang Yishan frowned slightly. He truly had no intention to harm Jiang Fan, yet his extreme guardedness made him somewhat displeased. Picking up a handful of space storage devices, he said with annoyance, "Our poisonous world's art of poison is ever-changing. Many poisons cannot be restrained by the power of thunder and lightning. Given you're so wary of me, how do you plan to handle these storage devices? Let me remind you, the last person who tried to harm me ended up touching my venomous space storage device and rotting into mud." He tossed the space storage devices over, silently observing the air in front of him. Jiang Fan chuckled, saying, "This couldn't be simpler." Fan remained calm. With a flick of his sleeve, a splash of washing spirit liquid was thrown out, splattering on the surfaces of several space storage devices. The rest were intact, except for one where a wisp of faint purple dust was washed out where the liquid splattered. Jiang Fan grabbed the other space storage devices by hand, leaving this one to fall to the ground. He glared coldly. "Is this what you meant by not asking for trouble? I think you're courting death." This guy actually coated the space storage device with poison. He discovered it. Without the means to detect it, wouldn't he have fallen for it? "Hold your hand." Jiang Yishan reached out a finger, smeared it on the purple poison, and said, "This poison is only effective against the bloodthirsty Shura clan, harmless to us human clan. I just wanted to test you a bit to see if you truly have the skill to identify deadly poisons." Gazing at the transparent, pure spiritual liquid floating in midair, he showed surprise. "Friend, you're indeed skilled. My self-made purple poison is something even the sages in our poisonous world cannot identify. You are the first." Jiang Fan withdrew the washing spirit liquid. This item came from that mysterious crystal mine, capable of washing away all auras. What's difficult about cleaning away mere poison? He eyed the person warily, stepped back a few steps, and said, "Let's part ways here." Jiang Yishan, however, looked at the remaining washing spirit liquid with great interest and said, "It's rare to encounter someone from another world. Why don't we exchange resources to meet our mutual needs? Such opportunities are hard to come by in a millennium." Jiang Fan's heart slightly moved. If not for participating in the ancient wilderness hunt, someone like him in the divinity transformation realm who can't break the world's barriers would almost never communicate with the other world. Just as well, he was very interested in Jiang Yishan's poison path. He was the first to ask, "What do you want? Materials for poison refining?" Jiang Yishan shook his head and said, "In our poisonous world, every flower and grass is highly toxic. Materials are endless. Why need anything from the outside? The most important thing in the ancient wilderness hunt is survival. What I want is naturally a life-preserving technique." He stared at the air before him, eyes blazing. Jiang Fan understood. Turns out, he had his eyes on his no-self dust-cleansing technique. When this technique is cultivated to the second layer perfection, it can shield even the awareness of the heavenly human five declines great venerate. Except for extraordinary entities like the white tiger with its incredible sense of smell. If Jiang Yishan had this technique, combined with his poison technique, he would simply be invincible in the ancient wilderness hunt, fearing no pursuit whatsoever. However, Jiang Fan was able to cultivate to this step, because he possessed an incredibly extraordinary comprehension, even beyond what the white-robed skeleton could imagine. Ordinary people would take at least years to thoroughly comprehend it. Even if given to Jiang Yishan, he couldn't comprehend it in the short term, and couldn't put it to use in the ancient wilderness hunt. He contemplated and said, "You want my invisibility technique? I can give it to you." Jiang Yishan's eyes showed surprise. The other party was actually so straightforward. "Could there be a trap?" He said calmly, "Friend, you're straightforward. What do you want? More deadly poisons, perhaps?" Jiang Fan shook his head and said, "Friend Jiang, give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime." Jiang Yishan instantly understood, smiled, and said, "So it's my poison path technique you're after." As expected, many in our poisonous world have sought guidance on the poison path from me. He waited for a moment and said, "I want your invisibility technique, and you want my poison path technique, quite fair." "All right, we have a deal." He took out a thick jade book, opened it briefly with at least 100 pages. On the cover of the jade book were the 4 big characters, Poison Origin Scripture. This is a poison scripture compiled by a sage in our poisonous world, a heaven-level technique containing poison refining, poison usage, and cultivating poison technique, etc. I became a poison master by comprehending its mysteries. How much you can comprehend depends on your own comprehension. Heaven-level technique. Jiang Fan's pupils trembled. Is such a technique given away so easily? How is it possible? Without a doubt, there's definitely a pit inside, and it's a big pit. However, his no-self dust-cleansing technique is also a big pit. Both aren't honest, neither can say much. He took out a jade scroll engraved with the first and second layers of the no-self dust-cleansing technique. Both layers of the invisibility technique are in here. It said that the third layer can shield even the awareness of sages, but I haven't got the third layer's content yet. Jiang Yishan was secretly shocked. Being able to shield the divinity transformation realm's awareness, he thought this technique surely wasn't low-level. Unexpectedly, the final layer could even shield sages. This technique is most likely a heaven-level technique. Both techniques are the same level, so neither loses out. He said gladly, "All right, we exchange and look, each remembering the content. If either of us thinks there's a doubt in the technique, we immediately stop watching." Both proposed the trade of techniques on a whim with no chance to fake it. Moreover, with both of their divinity transformation realm cultivation, if there were tricks in the technique, they could roughly feel it. Jiang Fan said without hesitation, "Agreed." And so, the two threw the jade book and scroll to each other. Jiang Yishan immediately immersed his mind into the jade scroll, quickly memorizing the content. Jiang Fan washed the jade book with washing spirit liquid first, confirming there were no issues before quickly flipping through it. Soon, Jiang Yishan finished reading first, patiently waiting for Jiang Fan to finish the thick jade book before saying, "No problem, right?" Jiang Fan closed the jade book, recalled the contents with eyes closed, and said, "Although the content is very complex, there's nothing wrong." He tossed the jade book back. Jiang Yishan threw the jade scroll back as well. Jiang Fan dared not catch anything Jiang Yishan touched. He directly smashed it to pieces from a distance. After all, it was just an ordinary jade scroll. If it broke, so be it. Jiang Yishan laughed speechlessly. Friend, you're truly leak-free. With a person like you, it's hard not to live to the end. All right, transaction completed. I, Jiang, take my leave. After saying that, he flashed and disappeared. He ran to a safe spot some distance away, scattered poison around for protection, and then eagerly sat cross-legged. He couldn't help but laugh. I fooled another one. Friend, after you painstakingly mix those poisons, you'll find the toxicity simply doesn't reach the level I demonstrated. Because the law of the sage who created this poison scripture is to intensify the toxicity. I also realized a similar path of God transformation to greatly enhance the toxicity. For ordinary people, this poison scripture is merely a technique barely considered earth level. He recalled the profound content of the no-self dust cleansing technique, feeling sly joy. Trading an earth-level technique for an extraordinary heaven-level invisibility technique is a huge win for me. Let me see closely. What pit did you dig inside? After a brief contemplation, he opened his eyes, smirked and said, Oh, so it's deep content, hard to comprehend, huh? He doesn't think about how unusual it is for me, a heavenly human, two declines, to represent the poisonous world in the ancient wilderness hunt. As the #1 poison path genius in the poisonous world, my comprehension ability is top-notch. Besides, judging by the sound, he's not much older than me. If he can comprehend to the second layer perfection, even if I can't comprehend it perfectly in the short term, figuring out some superficial points is no difficulty, right? He closed his eyes and silently pondered. A cup of tea later, he opened his eyes, frowned. Why do I feel something's off? Level techniques vary in difficulty, no matter how hard they are. He doesn't find it challenging to grasp them. Yet this invisibility technique before him, he can't comprehend it at all. It's as if an invisible barrier is keeping him out. I don't believe this. Unwilling to accept it, he closes his eyes and attempts to comprehend it again. A cup of tea later, he opens his eyes again, full of astonishment. What the hell? What's wrong with this technique? Why can't I comprehend it at all? Is its threshold really that high? But how did that person cultivate it? With a sense of defiance, he tries to comprehend it several more times, but the result is still the same. Realizing he truly can't cultivate it, Jiang Yishan finally becomes aware that he's jumped into a pitfall. A book of incomprehensible invisibility technique has schemed away his poison origin scripture. Idiot! Jiang Yishan angrily pounds his thigh. However, when he thinks of the pitfall left by the poison origin scripture, his breath gradually calms down. Humph, I may not have mastered the invisibility technique, but you shouldn't think you'll gain any advantage. In a certain dense forest, Jiang Fan is in an invisibility state, silently contemplating the contents of the poison origin scripture. After a while, he slightly opens his eyes, full of amazement. Indeed, it's a heaven-level technique, vastly different from the 9 poison true scripture I cultivated before. The latter merely forms a poison pill in the body, and if an excess of venom is absorbed, it can even burst the poison pill. The poison origin scripture, however, is fantastical, drawing from the rebirth abilities of ancient giants through their blood, using one's own flesh to nurture a new self, then tempering this clone with poison, cultivating it into a poison body. Once the poison body achieves great success, since it is also part of one's flesh, the soul can switch between the original body and the poison body, circumventing the rules of possession. This avoids the possibility of concentrated poison threatening the main body's life. Moreover, according to the poison origin scripture, the poison body can be cultivated to the heavenly person 5 declines level. Jiang Fan clicks his tongue in wonder, thinking of the twin sages and young master Xiang's emperor bodies. They seem to also possess similar dual bodies. Perhaps he can also embark on the path of creating a poison body in the future. However, after looking at the materials required for crafting the poison body, Jiang Fan feels bewildered. Requires 3 ancient dark creatures, a complete sun wheel of emperor level. Requires a merit divine steel from the human clan to suppress the curse power of the sun wheel. Requires a complete saint crystal to prevent contamination into ancient dark creatures. And heavenly materials and earthly treasures such as... Jiang Fan shakes his head, choosing not to look at the requirements for heavenly materials and earthly treasures. Just the above 3 items require sage-level strength to obtain, right? If he had that kind of power, why would he even bother with crafting a poison body? Disregarding the poison technique part, he directly contemplates the contents of poison refining, of which there's a poison liquid specifically targeting ancient blood demons. Jiang Yishan had used it previously. It's called soul-melting poison water, belonging to the 6 gu level of toxins. Just like spirit pills, poisons also have grades, based on toxicity from 1 gu to 9 gu. The toxins Jiang Yishan used to kill the giant demon king before were all of the 5 gu level, which easily kills a 1-star or 2-star blood demon king. But attempting to kill above 3-star becomes difficult. Jiang Fan looks puzzled. If Jiang Yishan has this poison scripture, why did he only refine the soul-melting poison water to 5 gu rather than 6 gu? Carrying this doubt, he follows the poison recipe and takes out the corresponding materials. Previously, he'd gathered plenty of spiritual objects both at the Heavenly Mountain battlefield and the Heavenly Realm, managing to scrape together enough materials. Then, following the poison refining procedure described in the poison recipe, he processes each material step by step, extracting the toxins. Subsequently, different toxins are fused either 2 or 3 together, followed by heating, cooling, smelting, and other tedious steps. For the average person, they might have already given up due to impatience or made mistakes. But for a soul master, the process of poison refining is much easier compared to alchemy. Half a cup of tea later, 10 small jade bottles are placed in front of him, all filled with sticky black soul-melting poison water. Jiang Fan's eyebrows raised high. Black color but no shine. According to the poison scripture, these are only of 3 gu level. It's quite doubtful they'd be able to poison nascent soul realm's ancient dark creatures. What's going on? I refined it completely by the poison scripture. Why is the result not 6 gu but far lower at 3 gu? Where did I go wrong? He faintly feels this is the pitfall Jiang Yishan left, though why it would be so remains somewhat unclear to him. After pondering for a moment, he sighs. Never mind, successfully refining the soul-melting poison water is enough. As for the insufficient toxicity, I just have to put in some more effort. He takes out the mountain river tripod and pours all 10 bottles of soul-melting poison water into it. A single bottle's toxicity is only 3 gu. Concentrated to the extreme with 10 bottles, the toxicity should surely improve. As he begins to operate the mountain river tripod, the soul-melting poison water boils as if boiling and continually condenses. When there's no more change, the contents of the 10 bottles of soul-melting poison water reduce to half a bottle. A full 20-fold condensation. The soul-melting poison water turns glossy black, viscous, and smooth. Even targeted specifically against the ancient blood demon, Jiang Fan senses a faint danger. If this poison water were to spill onto a person, it would likely cause significant harm. Just not as evident against ancient blood demons, like the poison of a shadow black snake from the central earth realm. Jiang Fan compares the poison scripture as he examines it, with a slight brightness in his eyes. 6 gu level, finally reaching the standard described in the poison scripture. He faintly understands what kind of pitfall Jiang Yishan had set. Following the poison scripture method only manages to concoct 3 gu soul-melting poison water, while Jiang Yishan has certain methods to increase the toxicity to 5 gu level. Most likely it's his path of God transformation. Although Jiang Fan doesn't possess this path, he has the mountain river tripod. When the domain is insufficient, a spiritual artifact compensates. The problem can similarly be resolved, moreover surpassing Jiang Yishan's path of God transformation. Haha, thank you, Brother Jiang, for the generous gift. Jiang Fan reveals a smile. If he were to present the newly refined 6 gu soul-melting poison water in front of him, wouldn't this poison prodigy start questioning his life? Ah, brother, you seem so happy. Suddenly, a sweet childish voice comes down from above. Jiang Fan's hair stands on end. Looking up, a cute and sweet 6-year-old girl in a black pleated skirt, sporting a red headband, is lying on a cloud. Her 2 tiny hands supporting her chin, her little feet swinging crossed. 2 big black eyes like grapes stare unblinkingly at Jiang Fan below. Oh no, Jiang Fan nearly loses his soul. Kiki from the Sin realm. He hastily packs up the mountain river tripod and soul-melting poison water, then quietly moves away. Kiki seems to see through everything. Her eyes follow Jiang Fan's steps as he moves. Brother, are you playing hide and seek with Kiki? The no-self dust-cleansing technique is useless against her. Kiki covered her mouth with a smile, and in the next instant she disappeared. When she reappeared, Jiang Fan just felt a light tap on his shoulder. His scalp felt numb with alarm, and he hurriedly used instantaneous movement to get away, but Kiki followed like a phantom, her playful voice carrying warm breath into Jiang Fan's ear. The ancient wilderness hunting ground is so vast, yet Kiki can still meet brother here. It seems we are truly fated. Only a fool would want to be fatefully connected to you. Jiang Fan knew he couldn't escape, so he stopped trying and abruptly turned around. A face so adorably charming was nearly nose-to-nose with his. He shivered all over and quickly took out the nine-colored crystal, shouting in a deep voice, "Back off!" The moment the nine-colored crystal appeared, a terrifying aura swept forth. But Kiki was not afraid. Instead, she displayed an interested expression. "Oh, a relic of the Saint Realm from the ancient heavenly realm 10,000 years ago. Brother, you certainly haven't disappointed me. To possess something from such ancient figures." Jiang Fan instantly moved back a distance, and this time Kiki didn't cling on. Nor did she continue to pretend to be a little girl. Her large eyes, black and white, were filled with wisdom that only adults possessed. She sat back, and a small cloud flew under her in the shape of a little chair to support her. She propped her hands on the chair, swinging her feet, and said with a smile, "What other treasures do you have? Show them to me. My intuition tells me this crystal containing tribulation thunder is not your unique point." Jiang Fan was extremely startled. What exactly did this great venerate of the heavenly human 5 declines sense on him? He said deeply, "Even if you know, what does it have to do with you?" Meanwhile, he was puzzled, for he noticed the number on Kiki's forehead crown was 0, indicating she hadn't killed any prey since the hunt began. Despite possessing such high cultivation, her mind wasn't focused on hunting. Why is she here in the ancient wilderness hunting ground? Kiki swung her little legs, laughing. "Since brother asks, I shall lay it bare. Actually, I am a trustworthy merchant. I travel across realms, collecting the world's rare treasures. From a ring with sentimental value to an entire world, I can trade in them. And of course, including a unique person like brother, if taken to the Sin Realm auction, surely someone would be willing to buy you." Jiang Fan frowned. If he heard correctly, she said she could trade an entire world, just relying on a great venerate of the heavenly human 5 declines. He asked suspiciously, "What kind of trustworthy merchant are you, more like a human trafficker?" Kiki shrugged her shoulders. "A person without a master is mine when encountered." Jiang Fan was spewing blood. He's only heard of ownerless items, now there are ownerless people. Being such a fresh and refined human trafficker, there's no one else like her. Kiki didn't bother with anything else, jumping off the cloud stool and walking towards Jiang Fan with a smile. "All right, I've introduced myself. Now, please remove the camouflage on you. Why hide your divine ring if you're at the divinity transformation realm? I think your divine ring must hold secrets." Jiang Fan tightly gripped the 9-colored crystal. If the ancestor Dao divine ring were revealed, this human trafficker would be dead set on abducting him. He felt like he had trodden through dog days. Encountering a human trafficker just one day out of the Central Earth, who could he seek justice from? However, Kiki did not care about the 9-colored crystal in his hand, still smiling as she walked closer step by step. A huge sense of oppression came face to face, making Jiang Fan feel suffocated. This presence, how is it stronger than young Master Xiang's imperial presence? Fine, since she's aggressive and unfazed by the threat of the 9-colored crystal. Then let her taste the might of the gourd. He was just about to take it out. The lazy voice of the hunting ground's owner came. "Stop playing around, get a grip." Kiki looked up, glaring at a certain spot in the sky, pouting, "So meddlesome. I was just about to find out his secrets." Turned out, she was merely trying to pry the secrets out of Jiang Fan. If she truly wanted to capture Jiang Fan, she would have acted directly, just like she did with the great venerate of the heavenly human 5 declines. The hunting ground owner chuckled. "Looks like you're about to find trouble yourself. Be moderate, this lad is under that woman's protection." With that said, the voice gradually dissipated. Kiki surprisingly looked Jiang Fan up and down. "Trouble myself? Brother, oh brother, you truly are beyond my understanding. All right then, let's handle serious business." She took out a golden chest taller than herself and said, "Let's begin." Jiang Fan glanced at the direction where the hunting ground owner disappeared, then cautiously looked at Kiki and said, "What tricks are you playing now?" Kiki said, "I'm a trustworthy merchant." Noticing Jiang Fan looking at her as if eyeing a human trafficker, she shrugged her small shoulders. "All right, occasionally I undertake some bounty tasks. For instance, if a world requires a very combative slave, I would come here to capture one. I've already caught a suitable slave, so I won't capture surplus people. You can relax." Jiang Fan's forehead vein twitched. She's indeed a human trafficker who catches ownerless people. He continued to keep a wary eye, glancing at the golden chest in front of her, and asked suspiciously, "What do you plan to do now?" Kiki tilted her head. "I'm a merchant, so of course it's trade. Brother's luck shines to randomly encounter me. I have anything you desire here, remember anything." Jiang Fan chuckled lightly. She really dared to boast. Everything a treasure. Jiang Fan thought of the materials needed for the poison body in the poison origin scripture and casually asked, "I want a complete saint crystal, do you have it?" This item is extremely rare in the heavenly realm, rarer than the cursed solar disk of the giant emperor and the merit monument of the sage. Does the Kiki before him really have it? Who knew? Kiki patted the golden chest, and a crystal emitting a holy aura flew out from inside. Ta-da! A complete saint crystal. Does brother want it? Whoa. Jiang Fan was shocked to the core. She actually has it. Could she really have anything? Do you have the merit of entering sage? Kiki patted the golden chest again, and a large merit divine pearl manifested. Ta-da! One entering sage merit divine pearl. Jiang Fan swayed slightly. In the central earth realm, countless great venerates exhaust hundreds of years desperately striving for merit without success. And here, there's a complete one for sale. He continued, "Do you have the chance for sanctification? Don't say you have that too." Kiki tilted her head, pondering for a moment. "This is a bit tricky. But I can accept a reservation, ensuring the chance for sanctification." Hiss, Jiang Fan drew in a cold breath. What is this woman's background? Casually bringing out merit for entering sage and bold enough to promise the chance for sanctification. He finally realized the reason Kiki remained as a great venerate of heavenly human 5 declines isn't due to her strength halting there, but rather, she simply wishes to linger in this realm. Moreover, she might just be like young Master Xiang, with the little girl before him merely acting as her avatar. How is Kiki truly a merchant? She's more like a divine who can fulfill any wish, only, undoubtedly, at a steep price. Crystalline asked, "How much for this?" Kiki said, 10,000 Dacian divine coins or a world artifact." "What? A world artifact?" Jiang Fan stared at her with wide eyes. "Are you crazy with poverty? No matter how precious the saint crystal is, it can't compare to a world artifact. How many world artifacts are there in Central Earth? It's absolutely impossible to exchange a world artifact for a saint crystal. The so-called saint crystal is probably similar to Hell Abyss crystal. Both are crystallizations of the entire cultivation of a fallen saint realm, the difference being one is from the angel clan's saint realm, the other from the hell realm's saint realm. They are very precious, but not enough to be on par with a world artifact." Kiki wasn't surprised at Jiang Fan's shock and said, "Rare commodities are valuable. I never sell ordinary things, only what others urgently need, so they are very expensive. For example, a bottle of water sold to someone without food and drink worries is only worth the price of a bottle of water. But sold to someone dying of thirst in the desert, it's worth all his wealth. This saint crystal, if you urgently need it, even 10 world artifacts would be reasonable. If you don't need it urgently, it's not even worth a top-grade spiritual artifact." Jiang Fan rubbed his temples. "What a crafty merchant." He waved his hand. "I don't need it for now." Kiki pouted slightly, took the saint crystal back and asked, "So what do you urgently need?" Jiang Fan thought for a moment and said seriously, "Do you have anything to restore the usage of human domain?" Kiki replied without hesitation, "Of course I do. My main purpose this time is to sell this. Once the ancient blood demon beast tide starts, no one's domain and talent will be enough." She tapped on a golden treasure chest, and a small ring filled with the aura of laws appeared. At first glance, it looked like a small divine ring. One is enough to replenish a divine ring. Jiang Fan's heart stirred. "How is it sold?" Kiki's eyes lit up with a smile. "Seems like you really need it urgently." "Then it's 1 Dacian divine coin or a top-grade spiritual artifact." A top-grade spiritual artifact. Jiang Fan's chest felt congested. Under normal circumstances, who would be crazy enough to trade a top-grade spiritual artifact to restore domain usage? Something that can slowly recover the next day isn't worth much. Indeed, as Kiki said, the value of goods depends on need. He gritted his teeth. "All right, let's go with a top-grade spiritual artifact." "But are you certain my domain usage can be restored?" He immediately grew concerned again. Others have ordinary divine rings, but his is the ancestor Tao divine ring. If he buys it with pain, only for it not to replenish, wouldn't he be at a huge loss? Kiki simply thought Jiang Fan was doubting the power of the treasure and said, "This was personally crafted by a sage. containing the power of laws, replenishing a domain of the divinity transformation realm is a piece of cake. Seeing Jiang Fan still frowning, she said, "If you're really worried, let's sign a contract." She deftly took out a scroll with pre-written promises on it, stating that if violated, the power of laws in the contract would cut off the divine ring, demoting him to nascent soul. As a crafty merchant, she had no choice but to use this strategy to earn customers' trust. Kiki added a sentence on it, "Guarantee to replenish the domain of Central Earth's Jiang Fan." Then she signed her name on it. The contract scroll immediately emitted a halo containing laws, enveloping Kiki. If violated, she would suffer backlash. Jiang Fan sensed the contract scroll and confirmed it seemed valid, before reluctantly taking out the soul-suppressing Buddha beads. As a top-grade spiritual artifact of Buddhism, Jiang Fan couldn't wield it to its full potential. Moreover, he had stronger soul attack methods now. The suppressing ability of the soul-suppressing Buddha beads was no longer of much use. A magical treasure from Buddhism, it's rare, a true rare commodity. "All right, I'll accept it." Kiki nodded with satisfaction, then with a flick, the small divine ring in her hand flew into Jiang Fan's nape. She took the soul-suppressing Buddha beads with a giggle. "The deal's done." However, she frowned and found that the contract law on her hadn't dissipated. She blinked her big eyes. What's going on? Once the transaction is complete, the contract scroll should automatically become void. Why is it still here? "I took the soul-suppressing Buddha beads and your domain was replenished. It's already clear." Cough, cough. Jiang Fan coughed dryly and said, "My domain isn't replenished yet." What was expected happened after all. The ancestor Dao divine ring was harder to replenish than ordinary divine rings. Fortunately, he prepared in advance, passing the blame to Kiki. "How is that possible?" Kiki looked surprised. She traveled far and wide and had seen countless divine rings. How could there be a domain that couldn't be replenished by the laws of a sage? However, the contract law wouldn't lie. Jiang Fan's domain indeed hasn't recovered. Unwillingly, she took out another small divine ring and said, "Seems I misjudged." Flicking it again, the small divine ring was flicked into Jiang Fan's nape. Thinking it should be over by now, yet she stood there dazed when she found the contract law still present. She looked at Jiang Fan in disbelief. "You're not going to tell me the domain still hasn't recovered, are you?" Jiang Fan shrugged. "Isn't it obvious?" Kiki opened her mouth but didn't know what to say at the moment. She could only take out the third small divine ring and threw it hard at Jiang Fan's nape. "This time it should be over, right?" What stunned her was that the contract law was still in effect. Broad daylight ghosts, 3 laws can't fill a small divinity transformation realm's domain. She took out 2 more small divine rings and threw them over together, yet the contract law remained unchanged. I don't believe this." She pulled out 5 at once and threw them, but to her astonishment, the contract law stood unyielding. She stood there for a full 10 breaths of time, then lost herself, saying, "Where did it go wrong?" Jiang Fan was also somewhat surprised. It shouldn't be like this, 10 rings already, yet still not replenished. Even with the ancestor Dao, it should have been filled. Looking at the life-questioning Kiki, Jiang Fan dryly coughed, reminding her. "Senior Kiki resting enough?" Kiki snapped back and gave Jiang Fan a hard glare. "All right, I have to see how much your domain can consume." She took out as many as 40 divine rings and threw them one by one at Jiang Fan's nape. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Until 20, the contract law still persisted. Kiki's palms started to tremble. She's at her wit's end. But she could only grit her teeth and continue. Finally, after 30, Kiki couldn't hold it in anymore and cried up to the sky, "Boo-hoo-hoo, I don't want to play anymore." A total of 40 small divine rings were used. Out of the 50 she originally brought, only 10 were left. The dream of getting rich shattered. Jiang Fan wouldn't believe her tears and reminded, Hey, be careful or the contract law will demote you to nascent soul realm." "Hurry up, keep it coming." Kiki wiped her tears. "Brother, let me go." "I beg you to terminate the contract voluntarily. Consider the 40 rings as a gift from your sister, will you?" "Please, I even called you brother." Oh, turns out the client can voluntarily cancel the contract. Jiang Fan's gaze shifted as he thought, "You can, sure, but you can't make me cancel it for free." Kiki quickly returned the slightly warmed, soul-suppressing Buddha bead and said, "Is that enough?" Jiang Fan didn't take it, but looked elsewhere and said, "It'd be nice to have a holy crystal." Trying to take advantage of the situation. Kiki wiped away her tears and angrily said, "You should know when to stop." Jiang Fan glanced at the contract law above her head and said, "Oh, rare goods can be quite valuable, right?" You're like someone dying of thirst in the desert, and I have a bottle of water. Naturally, I can't sell it at a normal price. Kiki was going crazy. All right, all right. Pretending to know everything, huh? She gritted her teeth and after a moment of struggle, begrudgingly softened, pulling out the Saint crystal along with the soul-suppressing Buddha beads and threw them over. Take them and disappear from my sight. Jiang Fan quickly caught them but didn't stop. He muttered to himself, a merit divine pearl for entering sage would be even better. Kiki's eyes widened, looking at Jiang Fan as if meeting him anew, scrutinizing him from top to bottom. Seriously, how can you be more ruthless than me? Jiang Fan looked elsewhere, with a demeanor that said, do what you like. Kiki snorted, forget about the merit divine pearl for entering sage. I can use it myself to break into the virtuous realm. This contract law can't do anything to me. That's true. Jiang Fan regretted a little. His gaze flickered as he said, if only a top-grade spirit sword fell from the sky. With one more top-grade spirit sword, he could complete the great success Dayan sword array. Kiki frowned a little. That's more reasonable, but you're too late. Someone has already reserved it. Swap for something else. Anything of top-grade spiritual artifact value or lower will do. Jiang Fan pondered for a while. There's so much he wants, but he has to know when to stop and not go too far. Otherwise, Kiki might waste the merit divine pearl, ignore the contract law, and he'd end up empty-handed. Not only wouldn't be able to keep extorting, but would also lose the Saint crystal he gained. After a brief thought, he took out a palm-sized 5 magnetic yuan mountain and said, do you have stones from this mountain? If there's anywhere in the world to find the 5 magnetic yuan mountain, it has to be with Kiki, who claims to have everything. The 5 magnetic yuan mountain was one of the earliest top-grade spiritual artifacts Jiang Fan acquired and became his most handy spiritual artifact. Unfortunately, as the enemies he faced grew stronger, it gradually became inadequate. If he could refine it again, that would be perfect. 5 magnetic yuan mountain? Kiki instantly recognized it and was slightly surprised. These are stones from the northern heavenly state's 5 magnet immortal mountain, extremely hard, a unique artifact refining material. I do have a little, not much. Jiang Fan nodded slightly. He believed it came from the northern heavenly state, because Xianxia once gifted him a bucket of mysterious 5-colored liquid specifically for bonding the 5 magnetic yuan mountain. Upon learning Kiki only had a little, Jiang Fan felt disappointed. What's the use of a little? However, unexpectedly, with a wave of her hand, Kiki dropped a huge 5-colored or mountain 10 zhang high right in front. Jiang Fan's eyes widened. Is this what she calls a little? It was over 10 times larger than his current 5 magnetic yuan mountain. Kiki casually remarked, the genuine 5 magnet immortal mountain reaches into the clouds. This is merely a small piece that fell off. If you want your 5 magnetic yuan mountain refined into a quasi-realm artifact or world artifact, you might want to visit the 5 magnet immortal mountain yourself. Jiang Fan's eyes lit up and then rubbed his hands together. Can you also send some of the 5-colored liquid for bonding them? Kiki glared at him. Might as well send myself along with it. The 5-colored liquid you mentioned is Angel Clan's blood, worthless, I didn't stock up. If you want some, you can reserve it. What? Jiang Fan's smile stiffened. The bucket of 5-colored liquid Xianxia gave him was actually her own essence blood. Jiang Fan's throat seemed to have something clogged, feelings he couldn't quite name surging through him. All right, stop stalling and cancel the contract, Kiki said furiously. Jiang Fan snapped back to reality and with a heavy heart put away the 10 Shanghai 5 magnetic yuan mountain. Then he looked at the contract law and thought, cancel the trade. Instantly, the contract law enshrouding Kiki dispersed like smoke. She was finally free from it, glaring at Jiang Fan with fierce black and white eyes. Running around as a black market dealer, yet you outplayed me. 40 small divine rings, a saint crystal, a 5 magnetic yuan mountain. How do you even have the nerve to ask for these? Jiang Fan's hand, already poised on the Tai Chu prison sky gourd within his sleeve, calmly said, could it be that Senior Kiki wishes to go back on her word? Kiki's fists clenched repeatedly. She glanced at the sky several times, fearing interference from the host of the hunting ground before begrudgingly letting things be. She gritted her teeth and said, just pray you don't run into me when you're urgently in need. Otherwise, I'll sweep up everything from you with interest. Jiang Fan smiled without saying anything. The world is vast, where would they meet? Even if they do meet, he might not need her. Seeing Jiang Fan's expression, Kiki was infuriated. Suddenly, a deep, ear-shattering roar exploded nearby. A 20 Xiang tall giant white tiger had unknowingly crept near them. At that moment it leapt out, bringing a terrifying gale that destroyed the vast forest. But it didn't directly pounce on Jiang Fan. Instead, it raised its mouth and tossed a huge pile of white internal organs in front of Jiang Fan. Jiang Fan paused, realizing the pile of organs was actually a coil of chicken intestines. Judging by its size, it belonged to some enormous chicken-like ferocious creature. The white tiger landed before the intestines, its face marred with deep wounds from chicken claws, continuing to bleed. Clearly, it had been through a perilous battle when killing the chicken-like creature. The white tiger glared fiercely at Jiang Fan, extended its paw to slap the pile of intestines, making them wobble, a nauseating stench spread. Kiki waved the air in front of her and frowned. "Why did it give you chicken intestines?" Jiang Fan looked at the incredibly thick chicken intestines, its diameter wider than his height, his face darkened. "Because I called it narrow-minded." Kiki froze for a moment, then understood. The white tiger was mocking Jiang Fan, demonstrating how large chicken intestines can be. She couldn't help but burst into laughter. The white tiger glared resentfully at Kiki, its paw striking the chicken intestines hard, as if angry at her laughter. When it hit them, a large splat of chicken feces sprayed out, splattering towards Kiki and Jiang Fan. Jiang Fan was relatively okay, having been wary of the white tiger, dodging away instantly. Kiki wasn't so lucky, as some flaccid chicken feces landed on her clean, pretty shoes. Kiki's smile faded as her expression turned swiftly sour. Already filled with unspoken anger from being extorted by Jiang Fan, her fury erupted. "Blind, stupid tiger, someone reserved a demon whip from a heavenly human 5 declines great venerate. I planned on randomly picking a lucky beast from the garden and harvesting the unclaimed whip as I leave. Since you came to me yourself, it'll be you." Tiger blinked its eyes as big as a well's opening. "It's just a bit of chicken droppings, why such rage?" For some reason, it felt like it was taking the blame for someone else. But as the king of all beasts, the notorious fiend in the garden, the white tiger had its dignity too. "Pull out its thing. HMPH, these little humans have no idea what heaven and earth are." It roared loudly and charged forward. One person and one tiger turned into afterimages, fighting intensely in midair. Several breaths later, "Ow!" the white tiger screeched miserably as it fell into the distance, blood staining the sky along the way. Kiki, with bloodied hands, held a tiger whip longer than herself, her little face slightly cold. "Is there a whip in the world that I can't pull out?" She swept her gaze around, ready to continue settling scores with Jiang Fan, but soon realized that this dog had already run off at the sight of the white tiger. "Damn thing, let's wait and see." She put away the tiger whip, washed the blood from her hands, and looked at the 10 remaining small divine rings before her with a dark face. "I originally planned to sell them for just 1 Dacian divine coin, but now I can only raise the price, 10 Dacian divine coins for 1 ring. Little fat sheep, don't blame me for being too greedy. Blame Jiang Fan for putting me through such misery. I can only bleed you dry now." Bam! At the horizon, the white tiger crashed heavily onto the ground, creating a deep pit. It lay weakly inside the pit, its heavenly spirit cover dented, its back had a blood hole piercing through. The worst part was losing the source of joy in its tiger life. It panted painfully, only exhaling without inhaling. It was already on the brink of death. Kiki, also facing the heavenly human 5 declines, found it easy to defeat those in the same realm. The white tiger's vision began to blur, memories of its life flashing in its mind, recalling when it was carefree as a little tiger, encountering a smiling person who promised to take him to a good place. Then it arrived at the ancient wilderness hunting ground full of fiends, living in endless hunting and being hunted. Surviving life-and-death crises time and again, it finally became a great demon facing the heavenly human 5 declines. But it wasn't happy, it still cherished the past. It remembered running under the setting sun, a youth long gone. At this moment, a floating young man appeared in its blurry vision with that same detestable smile as the bastard who brought it here. "Tisk, tisk, tisk, a bloodbath caused by a pile of chicken droppings. Too brutal." Jiang Fan looked at the white tiger's abdomen, seeing the bloody hole, goosebumps rose on his skin. Couldn't imagine how painful it was for the white tiger at that time. Roar the white tiger weakly grunted. This bastard made it take the blame, becoming that little girl's toy for venting, and still had the face to mock it. The one who should have their thing pulled out should be this bastard. Jiang Fan smiled slightly, took out a heavenly clothes divine water, and said, This is the holy healing medicine of my central earth, capable of keeping you alive and quickly healing you. Of course, it can also restore your vigor." The white tiger glared at him, simply not believing his words. Jiang Fan rubbed his brow. Simple-minded creature with well-developed limbs and an intestine concentrated like a chicken's. "Is there a need for me to deceive a dying tiger? If I wanted to harm you, I could just wait for you to die thoroughly, then move your corpse back to sell for money." The white tiger's eyes shifted a bit, thinking maybe that's the case. It weakly opened its mouth, unable to speak, but the meaning was clear. "You're not going to give me this for free, right?" Jiang Fan said. "To be honest, I'm a trustworthy businessman. Now I want to make a fair trade with you." The white tiger knew there was no such thing as free in this world, looking at the heavenly clothes divine water in Jiang Fan's hand, then raising its paw to point at itself, meaning, "What do you want from me?" Jiang Fan said. "I lack a mount that can come and go freely in the ancient wilderness hunting ground. I observe your extraordinary bone structure. You're a rare talent for a supreme mount." The white tiger's eyes widened, feeling extremely insulted. It opened its tiger mouth to howl. The gist was, "You are the mount, your whole family is a mount." Jiang Fan feigned ignorance, saying, "Would you consider being my mount for a while? Once the ancient wilderness hunt is over, I'll return and you'll regain freedom. Exchanging a few 2-hour periods as a mount for a life, you're really making a profit. You should be thankful for meeting a philanthropist like me. If it were Kiki, that black-hearted merchant, you'd have none of your bones left." The white tiger listened intently, seriously pondering. As a product of vicious battles, it certainly understood that life was the most precious, everything else was fleeting. And when the ancient wilderness hunt concludes, these people indeed would be transported back. It naturally would regain freedom. Therefore, it nodded its massive tiger head and opened its mouth, waiting for Jiang Fan to feed it. Jiang Fan said, "No rush, I need to first take a wisp of your soul." Once the white tiger recovered its strength, it would have the heavenly human 5 declines power. If it broke its word, Jiang Fan wouldn't be able to do anything to it. The white tiger was reluctant but felt its life force gradually weakening, could only grit its teeth and cut off a strand of soul amidst a painful hum, allowing it to fly out. Jiang Fan grasped it with a single hand and infused it into the ghost soul crystal. This was akin to the Black Sun King controlling Green Pearl with soul. With this soul, Jiang Fan could use it to curse and kill the white tiger at any time. Having means to control it, Jiang Fan then threw the heavenly clothes divine water over. The white tiger swallowed it whole, and its injuries immediately healed at a visibly rapid pace. Taking advantage of its healing interval, Jiang Fan closed his eyes to perceive his domain. He was also puzzled why his domain seemed bottomless, never filled. Yet, through perception, he was amazed to find that the small divine rings Kiki threw were all attached like magnets onto the full moon divine ring, not consuming any. A total of 40 rings. Not a single one was consumed. No wonder, no matter how Kiki threw, the domain couldn't be compensated. These small divine rings simply hadn't merged into the divine ring. He reached out to grab one, exerted force, and pulled it off. "Strange, why haven't they merged into my divine ring?" Jiang Fan showed a puzzled look. Simultaneously worried, if unable to merge, it meant his domain couldn't regain its usage count. He attempted to press the small divine ring onto the ancestor Dao divine ring, yet it still couldn't merge. Could it be the Wook ancestor Dao is too powerful, mere power of laws cannot merge into it? Jiang Fan inwardly felt bad, shouting in his heart. "Quickly merge in, damn it!" Unexpectedly, the next moment, Jiang Fan's hand emptied and the small divine ring merged in. Moreover, Jiang Fan's domain usage instantly filled up, returning directly to 10 times. Jiang Fan paused for a moment before realizing, is it because the Wook ancestor Dao despises the power of laws, thus refusing its merger unless I, as the controller, forcefully command it? He exhaled a long breath of relief. That's good, he could now confidently use the domain to harvest the ancient blood demons. Additionally, he was delighted to find that just one small divine ring could replenish a full domain. 39 remain, impossible to deplete all. Suddenly his eyes swiveled. These divine rings only held value in the ancient wilderness hunting ground. Back in Central Earth, they held little worth. Why not sell some? If Kiki could be the black-hearted merchant, why couldn't Jiang Fan? Rumble, the ground trembled as the white tiger recovered its wounds, its massive 20-zhang mountain-like body swaying as it rose. The fierce might of the great demon in the late period of the heavenly human 5 declines swept across like a terrifying wave. It glanced down at Jiang Fan, a look of defiance flashing in its eyes as it raised its head high. Yet its tail obediently stretched out in front of Jiang Fan, allowing him to step onto it. Ha, it's got that proud demeanor. Jiang Fan used instantaneous movement to reach the top of the white tiger's head, standing atop it while looking down at the vast, ancient hunting ground. The mount in the late period of the heavenly human 5 declines, a domain of near-limitless use. Jiang Fan's gaze grew sharp. The 9 states have lost their deer and all the heroes pursue it. The peace monument, our central earth, shall claim it too. Woo, a deep horn sound suddenly spread across the land of the hunting ground. It was as if announcing some major event. The white tiger instantly tensed its muscles, lowering its body slightly, its tiger eyes showing fear. Jiang Fan stared into the distance, sensing a vast, immeasurable aura of blood surging in the depths of the hunting ground. That is the aura of the ancient blood demons, the aura of countless ancient blood demons in motion. Listening to the horn's lingering sound, Jiang Fan understood that this was a signal for all participants that the ancient blood demon tide had appeared. The most critical moment of competition had arrived. At this moment, the white tiger extended its paw, drawing on the ground. Jiang Fan looked down. The drawings were simple, yet barely recognizable. The first drawing was of a lizard standing upright, with many dots marked beside it using the paw. Jiang Fan said, "You're saying there are many ancient blood demons?" The white tiger nodded its big head, even raising its paw with a thumbs up. A vein throbbed on Jiang Fan's forehead. "I don't want to be praised for being clever by a simple-minded fellow." Then he looked at the second drawing. It was a scythe without many dots behind it, but a skull was drawn. Jiang Fan rubbed his chin, saying, "Something that uses a scythe. Is it the third type of ancient dark creature? Are they very dangerous?" The white tiger nodded repeatedly, confirming Jiang Fan's triple guess. Jiang Fan was curious about the difference between this final type of ancient dark creature and the ancient giants and blood demons. He looked at the last drawing. It was a circle with an X inside. Jiang Fan frowned. "You mean that's a forbidden land?" The white tiger nodded again, its eyes no longer showing apprehension, but fear. Jiang Fan also became serious, saying, "No matter, just don't go there. For now, let's head to the ancient blood demon tide." The white tiger nodded, shaking its entire body. Black tiger stripes on its body emitted transparent ripples, spreading to the surroundings. In a blink, it disappeared out of thin air, entering invisibility state. Jiang Fan was momentarily stunned. If it weren't for his connection to the other's soul sensing its presence beneath him, he wouldn't have been able to detect its existence. No wonder this wily old fox could always flash and pounce on people. It had reached near Kiki before, and Kiki hadn't even noticed. This invisibility ability is truly top-notch. Fine, since the white tiger is invisible, he would become invisible as well. He immediately recited the no-self dust cleansing technique, disappearing into the air. One man and one tiger, using invisibility, quickly reached the depths of the hunting ground. A massive volcano piercing the sky appeared in their distant view. Layers of red-hot magma spewed from the volcano, flowing down to the foot of the mountain. Wait, Jiang Fan's gaze narrowed. That wasn't magma, but ancient blood demons. Groups upon groups, countless ancient blood demons. Because they were so numerous, crowded tightly together, they looked like rolling magma from afar. The strong from various lands in the hunting ground gathered around the volcano. Roughly counting, their numbers had sharply reduced from over 80 initially to 60. All around the garden were beasts even more dangerous than the ancient blood demons, forcing all participants to this place. Thus, the 60 before them were all that remained. In less than 2 hours, over 20 had perished. Some undoubtedly fell to the beasts, but many others likely died at the hands of other powerful figures. Now, facing the surging ancient blood demon tide, those who hoped to hide and coast to the hunt's end had no choice but to fight. The white tiger scratched the ground twice, then turned its head to Jiang Fan with a querying look. Jiang Fan shook his head, saying, "No rush, my domain can fully exert its power in the battle's late period. For now, let's deal with the surplus small divine rings in hand." He kept 10, enough to use freely. The remaining 29 would be sold. As Jiang Yishan said, this was one of the few opportunities to interact with other realms. Why not seize it to trade for resources needed by him and Central Earth? He scanned the crowd, targeting over a dozen individuals energetically slaying ancient blood demons. They all had the ambition to compete for the first place, naturally yearning for divine rings to replenish their domain. Suddenly, he saw holy light erupting at the forefront of the blood demon tide. An elegant youth with snow-white wings spread them wide, countless feathers raining down like a storm upon the beast tide. The blood demon king hit by the feathers melted into holy light on the spot. Immediately afterwards, he released the feathers again. After 3 consecutive times, he folded his wings, the 5 little angels hovering above his forehead appearing exhausted and powerless. Clearly, he had just employed something akin to a human clan domain, but it could only be activated 3 times. The destructive power he caused could only be described as incredible. The fan-shaped area in front of him, with a radius of 1,000 Xiang, became a blank space. In just a brief moment, a full 40 blood demon kings evaporated in place. This equaled an entire central tribal army of the heavenly realm. Though the blood demon kings were clustered together, leading to so many being obliterated by 3 strikes, the angel clan's holy aura's restraining effect on ancient dark creatures was clearly unparalleled. No wonder the northern heavenly state has stood for millennia despite its fragmentation. Jiang Fan's eyes flickered. The first trading target was him, Wong. Jiang Fan rode the white tiger, crashing through the ancient blood demons, heading straight for Wong. Wong held a sacred white bone sword forged from white bones, effortlessly severing the head of an ancient blood demon before him. Before the bone sword, the blood demon king's tough body was like tofu. However, it didn't work like an angel's blade, which would explode the blood demon king into holy light upon contact. Aware of the commotion behind him, he quickly turned around. It was as if he could sense who was invisible in front. His sharp gaze suddenly softened. "It's you. Good to see you're fine. Come, stay behind me. I'll protect you until the hunt ends." Jiang Fan revealed himself. He didn't get too close, maintaining a distance of 10 Xiang, he said. "I accidentally acquired a small divine ring, not sure if it would be useful for you, Elder." He took out a small divine ring. Wong looked up, a glimmer of delight deep in his eyes that he quickly suppressed, softly saying, "This is a unique law belonging to a specific sage. It can replenish the human clan's domain, the bloodline of the Asura clan's talent, and our angel clan's holy source. It even supplements the essence of ancient dark creatures. You found a treasure." He restrained his desire, maintaining composure as he spoke. Jiang Fan feigned ignorance. "Is it that precious? Then I'll give it to you, Elder." A flicker of emotion crossed Wong's eyes, suppressing it as he said, "Would that be okay?" Jiang Fan said. "As you said, the 3 realms are branches from the same root and should assist each other. I have no chance at the first place, so this is naturally useless to me. Giving it to you, Elder, is most appropriate. I just have a small request. I'll shamelessly accept it. Whatever you need my help with, feel free to ask." With this item, he would have 3 more chances to wield his domain than young Master Xiang and Liubian Wong. This is an enormous advantage. No matter the cost to obtain it, it's worth it. Jiang Fan said, "I have a friend named Wang Xiao who asked me to look for some essence blood of the angel clan before I came. I don't know if Senior would find it convenient." Wong slightly frowned, gazing at Jiang Fan without knowing what he was thinking. Jiang Fan was puzzled in his heart. "Just some essence blood, why hesitate so?" he said. "If Senior finds it difficult, forget it." Upon hearing these words, Wong said, "Since you need it, why shouldn't I spare a little?" Of course, he wouldn't take his own essence blood, rather he plucked a feather and tossed it to Jiang Fan. A feather. Is this a space storage device? Jiang Fan grabbed it and swept his consciousness over it. A small pond full of 5-colored liquid came into view. This was all Angel Clan essence blood. Wong said, "This is the essence blood left after some extremely evil angels were executed. Logically, it shouldn't be exposed to the outside world, but since you're not an outsider, I'll gift it to you." Jiang Fan was extremely thrilled. So much Angel Clan essence blood, even more than enough 5 magnetic Yuan mountain stones to stick. He showed gratitude and threw over a small divine ring, saying, "Thank you, Senior." Wong caught it in one swoop, finally revealing a delighted expression. Yet he also surreptitiously glanced at Jiang Fan's chest storage device, saying, "Where did you pick it up? Are there more?" This question was within Jiang Fan's expectations. He shook his head, saying, "I saw an elder named Kiki accidentally drop it." "Oh, it was her, no wonder." Wong suddenly understood, not suspecting further. "Then keep it secret, don't let anyone know. That woman is not to be trifled with." Jiang Fan nodded repeatedly. Why would I provoke her? The junior won't disturb senior fighting enemies. I'll take my leave." After speaking, he turned away. Wait, Yun Wongseo reminded with a smile, angel clan blood is harmful to the human clan, don't let it touch your body. Jiang Fan turned his head and smiled. Thank you, senior, for the reminder. Turning back, his eyes narrowed down. Angel clan blood is harmful to us humans. If that's the case, why didn't Xiakeoj remind me? Moreover, I've twice used angel clan blood to stick 5 magnetic Yuan mountain stones and have touched it in the process without seeing any effects. Why did Yun Wongseo lie to me? Why doesn't he want me to contact angel clan blood? What is he hiding? With these questions, he enacted the no-self dust-cleansing technique and disappeared. Yun Wongseo watched Jiang Fan with profound eyes. Only when sweeping under Jiang Fan's huge air did he reveal a hint of wariness. Though unseen, he vaguely felt the presence of the white tiger. After Jiang Fan went invisible, he targeted another objective. To be precise, 3 objectives. 3 people from the Usura clan. Among them, 2 in black robes manipulated a group of blood demon kings and a 3-crowned Usura king's puppet, charging to the front line. Though they couldn't annihilate large swaths like Yun Wongseo, puppetry technique allowed them to form group tactics, attacking all at once. Nearly no giant demon king could withstand a single move. Thus, though they slaughtered individually, their speed was remarkably fast. The numbers on the foreheads of the 2 Usura clan jumped extremely rapidly. Jiang Fan showed a playful look. All puppets. If that's the case, the trap I encountered before was surely set by them. I suppose quite a few people have fallen into their trap before me. HMPH. If such people aren't scammed, heaven itself should strike me with thunder. The heavenly sword controlled the puppet to kill blood demon kings while also observing the situations of Yun Wongseo, young master Xiang, and Liubian Wong. He slightly furrowed his brows. If this continues, we may not surpass them. Tian Qin was also paying attention to the battles of the 3. Her mood was heavy. The 3 possess unmatched powerful strength. Especially young Master Xiang, this sage's imperial body amidst the beast tide seemed like a king visiting, drawing his sword to silence the surrounding. His battlefield records were unparalleled. Tian Qin said, "The puppets we control are too few and too weak." The heavenly sword glanced at the 3-crowned Usura king and several 2-star blood demon kings, his face full of disdain. When we meet high-tier blood demon kings, dispose of these worthless ones. Wasting my puppet talent? Tian Qin sighed. If we could use our talents a few more times and control more puppets, there'd actually be a chance to turn the tables. At this moment, an aura of the heavenly human 5 declines surged from behind. The 2 immediately turned to guard themselves. But they saw in the air ahead, a gigantic white tiger suddenly appeared, majestically overlooking the 2. Just as they thought it was an attack by a fierce creature, a youthful voice came from the white tiger's forehead. "Lucky ones, congratulations on encountering me." The heavenly sword sneered, "Stop pretending, show yourself and speak." Even as he said this, his heart remained very cautious. This person could command a white tiger of the heavenly human 5 declines. He was no ordinary person. "You don't have enough value for me to show myself and meet." Tian Qin's eyes turned gently, her voice soft. "Who are you, sir?" Jiang Fan looked at her, surprised. How could this woman resemble Tianji so much? He instantly understood the identities of the 2 Usura clan in front. Dark Shura clan of the heavenly realm, they also had ancient tokens, and 2 at that. Suppressing the doubts in his heart, Jiang Fan lightly said, "I am Kiki's apprentice, an honest merchant. I have items you urgently need." Upon finishing, a divine ring floated from his palm and manifested. Tian Qin was slightly shocked. The power of laws that restores talent and bloodline. This indeed is something only Kiki can get. The heavenly sword was also greatly surprised. His gaze towards Jiang Fan was both more cautious and fervent. "How many divine rings do you have, sir?" "We'll take them all." If there were enough divine rings, they could infinitely control puppets to kill enemies. Then what is young Master Xiang? How could Jiang Fan let them hold all the advantages? Calmly he said, "Only 2, uniquely these 2 in the world, no third exists. If you want them, it's 5 Dacian divine coins each." "How much?" "5. The heavenly sword and Tian Qin were choked on the spot. Normally, nobody would want this item. Even in this battlefield where it's extremely needed, 1 Dacian divine coin is a sky-high price. Let alone 5. Clearly, Kiki's apprentice, black-hearted to the extent of being soaked in a dye vat. Tian Qin helplessly smiled. "We don't have that many Dacian divine coins." Jiang Fan anticipated this. Dacian divine coins seemed very valuable, even one wasn't something ordinary people could produce. He said, then it depends on whether you can provide something to move my heart. Seeing a chance, Tianqin quickly said, we have it, we have it. Without hesitation, she took out a black crystal stone, saying, this item is. Halfway through her words, she stopped abruptly, because Jiang Fan's hand had flown out with all 6 Hell Abyss crystals. Don't take out worthless items. Tianqin secretly sighed, Hell Abyss crystals are such precious items. The heavenly realm doesn't even have many. This person instantly produced 6. The heavenly sword was shocked too. No wonder he was Kiki's apprentice, having everything. He pondered, painfully taking out a small hourglass. This contains the power of the time law. It's a consumable magical artifact named Spacetime Funnel. Once activated, the time within a 3-zhang radius can be accelerated tenfold, lasting for a 2-hour period. Once used, it becomes useless. The implication is that while a 2-hour period passes in the outside world, 10 2-hour periods pass within the hourglass's range, roughly equivalent to an entire day. At face value, it doesn't seem very useful, but in urgent situations where time is of the essence, it can be invaluable. Jiang Fan understood its utility and said, not bad, but it's not worth one small divine ring. Heavenly Sword's face darkened. You should know when to stop. This is something I would never bring out under normal circumstances. But since the divine ring in your hand is something I desperately need, I'm showing goodwill. Jiang Fan calmly said, Lady Kiki has taught me repeatedly that it's better to lose a deal than to sell an item cheaply. There are only 2 small divine rings in the world. Since you don't want them, I'll go find someone lucky. Heavenly Sword's expression slightly changed. If the 2 divine rings were sold to someone else, they would have an advantage. If they ended up in young Master Xiang's hands, their hopes for the top spot would be even slimmer. After struggling for a moment, he gritted his teeth and said, Hold on, I actually have 2 spacetime hourglasses. Heavenly Sword felt immense pain at this, as it was a gift from the clan's emperor before coming, who instructed him to use it wisely. He originally planned to use it to escape in the next challenge. Now, he could only take it out to trade for supplies. However, since there are only 2 small divine rings in existence, this deal wasn't too much of a loss for him either. Jiang Fan was overjoyed. See, treasures are like water in a sponge. There's always more if you squeeze. But he didn't stop appearing troubled. It's still lacking a bit. If the deal is made, Lady Kiki will criticize me. Heavenly Sword's teeth ground with a grating noise. Is this guy too greedy? Tianqin pulled at him, who was about to erupt, her eyes slyly turning towards the 3-crowned Usura King behind her, and said, How about this? We'll throw in a puppet of the 3-crowned Usura King. She is not only powerful, but also beautiful, suitable for the battlefield and the bed, and will surely be welcomed in your Sin realm. Oh, Jiang Fan had long noticed the 3-crowned Usura King. Where could he normally find such a puppet? If he brought it back to Central Earth, it could slay ancient giants and later guard the heavenly mechanism pavilion. In addition to the 2 spacetime hourglasses, an absolute prophet, he sighed in faux reluctance. All right, for your sweet voice and looks, I'll take a loss this time. The deal is done, take it. He threw the small divine ring down. Heavenly Sword threw the 2 spacetime hourglasses over with a dark face, while Tianqin, full of delight, pointed and tapped the forehead of the 3-crowned Usura King. A black token enveloped with her soul mark slowly formed. She tossed the 3-crowned Usura King along with the token over. With this token, you can command her. Jiang Fan caught the thrown items, feeling very satisfied. Another day of significant gains. Heavenly Sword grabbed the small divine ring, unable to hide his delight on his face. But looking at the other small divine ring, he felt quite regretful. He still had some formidable items on him, but those were reserved for future life-saving situations. Exchanging them all for a small divine ring wouldn't be smart, but not buying it would just benefit someone else, especially if it benefited the powerful young master Xiang. Shifting his gaze, he reminded, Your Excellency, why not trade your last one with Liubi and Wong? The ancient demon realm has spent a lot of resources to win the ancient hunt. They even enlisted the chaotic ancient blood marquis from the Sin realm to seize the ancient token, eliminate competitors, and have prepared many great treasures. They would certainly be eager to trade with you. Oh, Jiang Fan recalled how, during his tribulation, the world barrier was cut open and attacked by the chaotic ancient blood marquis to take his ancient token. So it was the ancient demon realm that employed them. He remembered the line of heads hanging from the chaotic ancient blood marquis' steed, each with an ancient token in its mouth. He himself nearly ended up like those heads. He still bore a pursuit seal from the chaotic ancient blood marquis, Liubian Huang, that wretched creature. However, this also explained why the Heavenly Realm's Usura clan had two ancient tokens and why many participants were missing. Because the ancient token can be purchased in the Sin Realm. He glanced at Heavenly Sword, who was filled with machinations, and said, "All right, I'll go seek out Liubian Huang now." With that, he turned and left. Heavenly Sword chuckled. "This black-hearted fellow?" Tian Qin shook her head. "He's just Kiki's apprentice, acting under orders." "The truly black-hearted one is Kiki. He is rather understanding." Heavenly Sword glanced at her sideways. "Just because he complimented your sweet looks and voice, you're speaking well of him?" Tian Qin replied. "I just feel he must be a kind person. He's just been coerced into becoming a black market dealer by Kiki." Speaking of Jiang Fan, he organized his haul simply on the tiger's back, storing the two space-time hourglasses separately in a storage device. As for the three-crowned Usura King puppet, he tucked the token into his chest and gave the puppet a brief look over. The puppet was shrouded in black mist, obscuring its true form, and its consciousness was suppressed by puppetry technique, like a wooden figure. Jiang Fan didn't currently need her to fight, so he simply left her on the tiger's back, continuing to seek the next easy mark. Of course, he had no intention of trading with Liubian Huang. They had a grudge, and upon meeting, the other would likely shout to attack, causing endless trouble. Moreover, he couldn't let the small divine ring be acquired cheaply by him. As for young Master Xiang, he wouldn't go there either. With that man's world-dominating aura, Jiang Fan could imagine him taking the small divine ring to trade, and the other man would likely say disdainfully, "You know nothing about me?" Then drawing his sword to defeat opponents, leaving Jiang Fan with a face of nosebleed in awe. Such acts of showing off in front of interrealm powerhouses should be handled by him. Once the ancient blood demons were injured, it would be time for Jiang Fan to act. And then when he acted, it would shock everyone. With these thoughts, he continued seeking easy targets. "Fortunate people, congratulations on meeting me. Young lad, would you like to engage in a destiny-defying trade? Kiki's apprentice is here, do you want to trade?" Not long after, Kiki had made his way from one end of the battlefield to the other. "Strange, why does no one want it when I asked along the way?" Some even glared at me. "It's baffling. I haven't ripped them off for a single Dacian divine coin. Why such resentment?" At this time, he saw Heavenly Sword and Tian Qin. He immediately put on a sweet smile and approached. "Hello, brother and sister, I am your favorite Kiki. Here is a divine ring that can restore the domain. Would you like it?" Heavenly Sword and Tian Qin exchanged a surprised look. Heavenly Sword immediately felt deceived and said, "Didn't you say there were only two? How is there another one?" He was willing to put down two space-time hourglasses because there were said to be only two in the world. Who knew there was a third one? No, there were probably many more. They had fallen victim to Kiki and her apprentice's grand ploy. Kiki blinked, puzzled. "I haven't traded with you before. What are you talking about?" Divine ring and said coldly, "Then what is this?" Kiki's eyes widened with surprise. "Where did you get that?" The Heavenly Sword replied with a stern face. "Where else could it come from? Other than your deceitful disciple, who else could it be? He tricked me into believing there were only two divine rings in the world, so I spent a fortune to purchase it. But just as he left, you, the master, appeared to continue the deception." Disciple. Kiki opened her small mouth, stammering, "When did I have a disciple? And when did I ever say there were only two divine rings?" Tian Qin's pretty face was also covered with a cold expression. "Senior Kiki, is there any point in hiding like this? Your disciple was forced under your coercion to sell the small divine ring at an exorbitant price. Do you think you can deny it with a simple claim of having no disciple?" Kiki opened her small mouth wide, wanting to refute, but the small divine ring in the Heavenly Sword's hand could only have come from her. After hesitating for a long time, Kiki asked, "What does my disciple look like?" The Heavenly Sword huffed. "How would he dare show his true appearance? He was in an invisibility state, accompanied by a monstrous being of the heavenly human 5 declines, plus he sounded very young, like a youth." Kiki started counting on her fingers. Invisibility, Jiang Fan could do that. A heavenly human 5 decline creature, the white tiger she nearly beat to death. Jiang Fan was there. A youth. Jiang Fan fits the description. Has a divine ring. Jiang Fan still fits. Dare to impersonate her disciple. Jiang Fan could do that. Crafty enough to extort a fortune. This was something Jiang Fan could indeed do. In summary, it's Jiang Fan. Kiki laughed in anger. "Haha. No wonder I've been asking around, and no one wants my divine rings. So Jiang Fan has already completed all the deals. No wonder others look at me with hostility. Jiang Fan has drained their resources dry. As she laughed, Kiki began to tremble all over. You little rascal. You do your own business, leaving me with no business to do, fine. But you still impersonate my disciple. You take all the benefits and I bear all the insults. The more she thought about it, the angrier she became. She was so angry that she nearly blacked out and she staggered midair. Jiang Fan. Central Earth's Jiang Fan, she screamed skyward, falling into a state of total madness. Get out here! Get out here! On the other side of the battlefield. Having completed the trade of the 28th small divine ring, Jiang Fan showed a satisfied smile. Today's business is really good. What a huge harvest! He traded with the various realms and received countless resources, secret treasures for advancing the nascent soul realm, and powerful medicines to enhance nascent soul cultivation. He even acquired significant treasures not found in Central Earth, which could help late-stage nascent soul martial artists perfect their path and increase awakening chances. Besides, he also obtained the pill recipe for a 7th-grade great pill. Yes, the pill recipe to elevate from the divinity transformation realm's first decline to second decline. Not only that, but he also acquired numerous ingredients for refining. As long as he could stably refine the 7th-grade great pill, he could produce them in large quantities. For the war-torn Central Earth, these precious resources were like a timely rain, able to quickly restore vitality. These small divine rings are truly a gift from the heavens. Thank heaven, Jiang Fan. A faint scream seemed to come from the far end of the battlefield, but it was soon drowned out by the battlefield's noise. Jiang Fan lifted his head, listening for a while, frowning slightly. Was it an auditory illusion? Or is someone thinking of me? Shaking his head, Jiang Fan stood up to his full height, gazing out at the vast battlefield. After this period of war, the ancient blood demon tide and 60 powerful beings from various realms had engaged in intense battle. Many blood demon kings were wounded. At this moment, his attention was drawn to a part of the battlefield. Dozens of blood demon kings were chasing a person who was Jiang Yishan. He wasn't troubled by the beast tide's outbreak. On the contrary, he seemed to thrive. Due to the dense beast tide, when he unleashed his potent poison, a large group of blood demon kings would succumb. Once enough fell, he'd swiftly return to finish them off. He had only the cultivation of the heavenly human 2 declines, yet the number on the crown above his head reached an astonishing 150. Jiang Fan hadn't seen many others across the battlefield with a higher number. Additionally, he noticed that when Jiang Yishan's tally reached 100, a faint 15-jang white pillar of light appeared above his head. It was visible even from afar. Looking towards the directions of the heavenly sword, Liu Bianwang, Yun Wangxiao, and young master Xiang, the 4 light pillars grew taller and more brilliant, indicating their increasingly formidable achievements. The most formidable was young master Xiang, whose pillar extended 100 jang high, emitting dazzling white light. He was followed by Yun Wangxiao, whose 30 jang high pillar had become solidified. Young master Xiang stood unmatched, like a walking pillar of light across the battlefield, leaving death and destruction among blood demon kings in his wake. His pillar grew visibly. Jiang Fan looked at the number 4 above his head and suddenly felt a long-absent fighting spirit. This competitive spirit last appeared during the 9-sect's rivalry with peers on the continent. Since leaving the 9th sect, few equals remained among his peers. Watching today as prodigies his age fought across the battlefield, a sense of heroism welled up within him. He set his sights on the collection of blood demon kings near Jiang Yishan, his gaze suddenly sharp, and laughed. It's time for us from Central Earth to take action. In the deep sky, inside a majestic floating hall, on the ground lay a square crystal, reflecting the entire scene of the ancient wilderness hunting ground. In the hunting ground, amidst the dense red tide, were several dozen white light points. Each white light point bore a mark of origin and name, indicating the remaining contestants. The red tide naturally represented the ancient blood demon kings. Some white light points projected pillars of light into the sky, undoubtedly denoting people like young Master Xiang. A middle-aged man with a smile, slightly disheveled hair, and unkempt beard reclined on the highest throne of the hall. On either side of the hall stood divinity transformation realm experts, holding their breath. Their cultivations differed, but they shared one common trait. They had all previously overseen the Linlang hunting. Among them was Ling Xuzi, who had overseen the Linlang hunting of Taikang State. However, his situation looked even more dire than before. Back then, Ling Xuzi's divine ring was dim, his body decaying with a foul odor, indicating he was already in the state of the heavenly human decline tribulation. Now his decline worsened. His body continuously oozed pus and his life force was weak and dull. He gazed at the crystal projection at the light point marked Central Earth's Jiang Fan, his eyes filled with anticipation. Standing next to him was a female venerable of the heavenly human three declines. Her divine ring was bright, her body exuding a subtle fragrance. She glanced at Ling Xuzi beside her, frowning slightly. "Old Ling, did you never tell him that the outcome of the ancient wilderness hunt also affects your life? Only if he wins representing Central Earth. Can you, as the overseer of the Central Earth Linlang hunting, receive rewards and break through the heavenly human decline tribulation?" Ling Xuzi smiled and shook his head. "Compared to the survival of Central Earth, what is my life worth?" The woman looked at Jiang Fan's light point and, noticing the number 4 on it, shook her head. "But he cannot uphold your hope for Central Earth. With only a moment left for the ancient blood demon tide, no matter how vast his divine skills, he can't turn the tide." Xuzi chuckled. "As long as he can survive until the end, bringing the ongoing cataclysm in Central Earth to a conclusion, it's enough. Central Earth sent him here, surely holding extreme confidence in his survival till the last moment." The woman frowned, saying, "Your Central Earth, after all, is a world that has obtained the peace monument once. Are you so lacking in spirit this time?" She was still feeling regret for the soon-to-decay Ling Xuzi. Ling Xuzi laughed hoarsely. 3,000 years ago, Central Earth paid a hefty price to obtain it. But as for Central Earth now, how could it afford such a price again? Upon hearing this, the woman sighed slightly. If he gave the ancient token to the young emperor of Central Earth realm, perhaps there would be hope. The young emperor is the son of a three-calamities sage realm, with unparalleled power, able to stand shoulder to shoulder with Yun Wong Xiao, Liu Bianwang, and others. If he competes, even if he doesn't surely claim first place, he'd at least perform better than Jiang Fan, not just hunting 4. Huh, how did it become 14? The woman, inadvertently glancing at the white dot representing Jiang Fan, saw that the number on it had somehow changed from 4 to 14. Ling Xuzi was taken aback and hurriedly looked over, exclaiming, "In the time it took us to have a conversation, he managed to kill 10 more. The woman looked puzzled. "He must have employed some kind of law, right?" "That's pretty reckless. Using up the law now, how will he ensure his survival in the next stage?" At that moment, Jiang Fan's number changed again. From 14, it suddenly jumped to 24. Then the number continued to leap. 30, 46, 60. The woman's eyes widened. What is he doing? Did he bring a whole heap of laws to the ancient wilderness hunting ground? Shouldn't Central Earth sages be busy with the great battle? How do they have the energy to provide him with so many laws to use? What stunned her was that Jiang Fan's numerical progression showed no signs of stopping. Every time it increased by at least 8, and sometimes by 10, 20. Ling Xuzi was shocked. Even young Master Xiang isn't this fast. What is going on here? The disheveled, middle-aged man reclining on the throne had his gaze seemingly pass through the crystal, straight to Jiang Fan standing on the earth, observing him closely. Originally nonchalant and disdainful, he suddenly sat up straight, leaned slightly forward with a few degrees of seriousness appearing in his eyes. "Am I seeing things? It's actually this kind of path? If those prehistoric old sages in divine capital find out, they're likely to be restless." On the earth, Jiang Yishan gazed at the ancient blood demon kings he had painstakingly poisoned and injured, suddenly bursting open like watermelons run over by a cartwheel. The whole person froze in place. This is domain power. No, it's too domineering. Any injury, however slight, triggers a complete bodily explosion. He realized subsequently, looking towards the direction of Jiang Fan, who was invisible, and shouted while jumping. "Bastard, kill for yourself, why steal my prey?" Jiang Fan revealed his form, feigning surprise. "I thought Brother Jiang was being pursued by the ancient blood demon king again, so I just came to help. Turns out I misunderstood." "It's you." From the voice, Jiang Yishan immediately recognized that this was the person who schemed away his poison origin scripture. What shocked him even more was the aura emitted by the person before him was merely a heavenly person decline. Although he didn't know why the divine ring was concealed, the cultivation was undoubtedly heavenly person decline. He had once thought Jiang Fan was a heavenly human 2 declines or even 3 declines existence. Jiang Fan said, Indeed it is I. How goes the cultivation of the no-self dust-cleansing technique, Brother Jiang? Surely it's greatly progressing. Brother Jiang's heart skipped a beat, but staring at Jiang Fan's youthful face, he didn't wish to lose face and puffed out his chest. Of course, a mere invisibility technique, what's so difficult about it? And you, how's your cultivation of the poison origin scripture? He asked with a half-smile. If Jiang Fan tried mixing poisons, he would surely have discovered the pit he left behind. Unexpectedly, Jiang Fan expressed gratitude. Brother Jiang's generosity, bestowing such a rare poison scripture, I on behalf of myself and Central Earth am extremely grateful. Jiang Yishan frowned. Has Jiang Fan not discovered the pit within? Thinking this, he felt a bit disappointed. He had hoped to see Jiang Fan in a fit of rage. He laughed meaningfully. After you've studied this scripture, you'll still thank me. Farewell. Hold on. Jiang Fan wasn't purposely wasting time to chat with him. He immediately took out a small divine ring. I picked up an artifact that can replenish domains and wish to trade some materials from the poisonous world with Brother Jiang. Jiang Yishan's pupils shrank. He immediately recognized the object and exclaimed, "All right, what materials do you want?" With this restoration of domain, he could produce a batch of 5 goo poison again. Thus, the two began negotiating on the spot. Moments later, Jiang Fan had gained over a dozen storage devices, his arms bulging with them. Jiang Yishan had lost more than half of the space storage devices hanging all over his body. He held the divine ring tightly in one hand, fuming as he gazed at Jiang Fan's departing back. That damned heartless dog, for a mere broken law asking for most of my materials. Why doesn't heaven strike him down? Just you wait, watch me take first place with this small divine ring, make you regret it. As for Jiang Fan, he headed straight for the next cluster of ancient blood demon kings and unleashed a flawless domain without hesitation, radiating in all directions. Any wounded 1-star blood demon king exploded on the spot. As for the severely injured 2-star blood demon king, he had 3 crowned Usura king puppets finish them off. "You're courting death," one of the enraged heavenly person 4 declines warriors shouted. Jiang Fan simply had the white tiger reveal itself. It was the final moment to seize every second. There was no need to hide anymore. Once the gigantic 20 Xiang tiger body of white tiger materialized, the other's expression changed drastically, instantly becoming much more courteous and composed. With a respectful and amicable smile, he said, "Meeting you is fate. This place I concede to you. I'll look elsewhere. Farewell, farewell." Having white tiger around saved a lot of trouble. Glancing around at the scattered blood demon kings, Jiang Fan ignored them, retrieved the puppets, and immediately dashed to another location. Thus, Jiang Fan rampaged ahead, while White Tiger advocated civility from behind. Their path was often accompanied by sparse curses, followed quickly by a peaceful silence. Soon, Jiang Fan exhausted 10 instances of domain. The number on the crown above his head unsurprisingly reached 100. A white beam of light measuring 10 Xiang appeared. But this was far from enough. He took out a small divine ring and utilized it, filling the domain instances instantly, then resumed the slaughter. A mere half a cup of tea later, Ling Xuzi's beard quivered with delight, his face covered with smiles. Over 400 now, second only to young Master Xiang, Yun Wangxiao, Liu Bianwang, and the Heavenly Sword siblings. Our Central Earth can proudly manage 5th place by our own merit, truly giving Central Earth faces everywhere. Realms on both sides looked enviously at the light spot of Jiang Fan. In just half a cup of tea's time, such achievements. Central Earth is indeed the most overlooked world. For thousands of years, it either stays still or creates a tremor across the 100 realms. Could it be that Central Earth will take the first place again this time? An old man in the Heavenly Human 5 declines slightly shook his head. It's difficult because the Blood Demon King is starting to thin out. In the remaining half cup of tea's time, it's hard for him to kill more than 400. Moreover, considering the time, it's also the moment when they start plundering each other's achievements. Otherwise, who could surpass the unrivaled young Master Xiang? Their gaze shifted towards young Master Xiang. A 140 Xiang glaring beam of light was particularly striking. Following him, Yun Wangxiao had only 70 Xiang. The Heavenly Sword siblings had 60 Xiang. Liu Bianwang had 50 Xiang. Jiang Fan had over 40 Xiang. Jiang Yishan had 20 Xiang. If the others didn't plunder each other, they couldn't surpass young Master Xiang at all. On the battlefield, Jiang Fan stood on a tiger's head, overlooking the entire scene, but did not rush to take further action. The rebellious guy looked anxiously at the several beams longer than Jiang Fan's on the battlefield. "Big brother, why did you stop?" Jiang Fan, hands behind his back, observed the surroundings and said, "Have you not noticed that, apart from young Master Xiang, the other top-ranking ones have gradually stopped hunting?" The rebellious guy then took a closer look at their light beams. Indeed, apart from young Master Xiang's beam, which was continuously increasing, the rest had stopped growing at some point. Stopping meant that they had not continued hunting. What's wrong with them? Are they giving up the fight for the first place upon realizing they can't catch up? The rebellious guy wondered. Jiang Fan's eyes were profound, saying, "They are all top-level divinity transformation from various domains, looking down on their times. There is no reason for them to admit defeat or back down. The reason for stopping, I think there's only one. That is, knowing that normal hunting can't catch up with young Master Xiang, so they're preparing for a special hunt." The rebellious guy was quite quick-witted. Rolling his eyes over the longer beams, he speculated in surprise. Could it be that participants can hunt each other to seize their achievements? Jiang Fan nodded slightly. Ancient hunting, all are prey. The essence of hunting perhaps lies in participants hunting one another. Jiang Fan touched his crown. Since the appearance of the light pillar, the crown had loosened and could be taken off. This meant that when someone killed him, they could take away his crown and the achievements recorded on it. Or, if he admitted defeat, he could take off the crown and give it to the other, begging for mercy. This corroborated Jiang Fan's guess. The rebellious guy, stroking his chin, said, "Big brother, then we should stop hunting too. The tallest tree in the forest falls first. If your beam surpasses theirs, you'll become their prey." If it were Jiang Fan's previous mindset, he would naturally act cautiously. But today, sharing the stage with the prodigies from various realms, he wanted to openly dominate the strong enemies and secure the first place for Central Earth. Jiang Fan's gaze was sharp, saying, "Let them slaughter each other. We continue to hunt, and if they come for me, I'll crush them. Let's go." The rebellious guy was slightly taken aback, and then his blood began to boil. It's been so long since he saw the little vampire take competition so seriously with contemporaries. Thumping his chest, he declared, "All right, I'll meet them too." As the white tiger leaped, they arrived at a dense spot of ancient blood demon kings once more. Jiang Fan unleashed a flawless domain, mercilessly reaping them in droves. Thanks to Yun Wong Xiao and others no longer hunting ordinary prey, turning to hunt participants with achievements. These ancient blood demon kings were left unattended. Therefore, Jiang Fan harvested them even faster than before. His beam shot up rapidly. In the distance, the heavenly sword snatched a crown from the head of a trampled-to-death demon race warrior from afar. He flicked his hand, and the crown flew into his own crown. The two fused together, and the numbers stacked up, increased from 630 to 650. The heavenly sword showed a look of satisfaction. "Isn't this much faster than hunting the Blood Demon King?" Tianqin joyfully added. "Currently only young Master Xiang and Yun Wong Xiao are ahead of us. Let's speed up and surpass Yun Wong Xiao first." At this moment, she suddenly saw something, showing a ghost-like expression. "Brother, look." The heavenly sword followed her gaze, and his face turned serious. "Who is this divine being? I noticed him half a cup of tea ago, going from nearly 0 achievements to close to 500. Now it's up to 600, catching up with us. Which realm does this fierce one come from?" Tianqin was equally shocked. Everyone has stopped hunting, yet he continues. Does he intend to compete directly with young Master Xiang? That's the prodigy from the virtuous realm, young Master Xiang. Is he insane? On the other side, Liu Bianhuang received a crown handed over by another strong warrior, but he did not let him go. With a fierce light flashing in his eyes, he delivered a blow that obliterated both the form and spirit of the other. "Even you dare to compete on the same stage for prey with me?" He merged the crown into his own, the number 500 becoming 560. "HMPH, soon I'll surpass those two from the Usura clan. Then it's Yun Wong Xiao." While speaking, he was suddenly drawn to a rapidly rising beam of light. Upon closer inspection, he was shocked. 600, who is this surpassing me? Has a strong one from some realm been hiding their strength all along? His expression flickered unpredictably. "You'd better know when to stop, or you'll be the next one I hunt." Boom, on another battlefield. Yun Wong Xiao, with a smile on his face, received a crown from a heavenly person for Decline's warrior. "I'll let you off, go now." The other party showed gratitude and quickly ran away. Yun Wong Xiao fused the crown into his own. The number 700 instantaneously became 800. He looked towards young Master Xiang in the distance, saying, At the Peace Monument, only you and I are qualified to contend. But in the next moment, he noticed a beam of light crazily surging upward, his expression drastically changing. 700, wasn't it just 500? Who is this divine being? Suddenly, the rapidly soaring beam of Jiang Fan became the most captivating focal point on the entire battlefield. Even young Master Xiang flicked the blood off his long sword, glancing sideways. In his gaze overlooking the world, there was a trace of appreciation. Those who dare to contend with me achieve honor even in defeat. Jiang Fan, undistracted, continued slaughtering around with his near-unlimited domain. Finally, when there was only one small divine ring left, the battlefield once resembling a red wave, now held only scattered ancient blood demon kings. They seemed to sense something, all retreating towards the volcano. When he looked at the beam overhead, it had already reached 120 zhang. Meanwhile, young Master Xiang had reached 160 zhang. Jiang Fan frowned slightly. Still such a huge gap? There's no denying that young Master Xiang is indeed an invincible existence, but he still had one more chance. Fan's gaze fell upon the volcano in the center of the battlefield. The remaining blood demon kings on the battlefield all retreated into the volcano. To surpass young Master Xiang, one must enter it. Without another word, he charged towards the summit of the volcano. Meanwhile, Liu Bianwang, Heavenly Sword, and Yun Wangxiao also dealt with their targets and could hunt no longer. The rest either escaped or hid away. The beam of Liu Bianwang had already reached 80 zhang. Heavenly Swords reached 90 zhang. As for Yun Wangxiao, hers reached 100 zhang. But all three were drawn to the two most blazing beams on the battlefield. One was young Master Xiang's 160 zhang, and another was an unknown expert's 120 zhang. Liu Bianwang said grimly, "The second stage is about to arrive. The decisive moment is here." Looking at Jiang Fan rushing to the volcano's summit, his figure flickered, and he instantly moved there as well. Heavenly Sword snorted, "Let's go and see who from which world is this ruthless guy." Yun Wangxiao's eyes gleamed sharply. "I want to see what is the background of this person who challenges young Master Xiang." Meanwhile, young Master Xiang glanced around, noted their movements, and sheathed his sword, saying, "Without me, how can one talk of contending with the world?" In the next instant, an unmatched imperial aura appeared at the volcano's summit, radiating to all corners. He stood with hands behind his back, looking arrogantly upon all. "I am here." As soon as he finished speaking, the sky suddenly showered with rays of light feathers. Yun Wangxiao unfurled snowy wings, surrounded by holy light like an angel descending. "Northern Heavenly State Yun Wangxiao is here." Then, the world suddenly darkened. A thick demon aura cloud covered the sky. The cloud condensed, transformed into a defiant young man descending slowly. "Ancient demon realm Liu Bianwang is here." Immediately after, the crimson volcano shook violently. A group of 4-star ancient blood demon kings clustered around the Heavenly Sword siblings, arrived at the summit. "Southern Heavenly Realm Heavenly Sword is here." The 4 great venerates of the Heavenly Human 5 declines gathered at the summit of the volcano. Their gaze fell towards the foot of the mountain. A youth stood atop a fierce tiger head of the Heavenly Human 5 declines, stepping into the air. He surveyed everyone, eyes like torches, confidently proclaimed, "Central Earth Realm Jiang Fan is here." Upon hearing this, Liu Bianwang exclaimed in disbelief, "How can it be you? Impossible, it's impossible. How could you have slain 1,200 blood demon kings? What's your cultivation?" Heavenly Sword was equally incredulous. "In a barren land like Central Earth, how could such a person sprout?" "I don't believe it, I don't believe it." Jiang Fan, hands behind his back, glanced at them, shook his head slightly, and said, "You all know nothing about me." Then his gaze fell upon young Master Xiang and said, "You have finally made your way to me. As a reward, I grant you a loss." The scene fell silent. They had a feeling that Jiang Fan had stolen young Master Xiang's thunder. The rebellious guy silently rolled his eyes. Today, Jiang Fan genuinely stole the show. After speaking, Jiang Fan felt a surge of satisfaction. No wonder the young emperor and young Master Xiang liked to keep such a poise. Occasionally experiencing the taste of wild and cool arrogance is pretty good. Young Master Xiang held the sword hilt, slowly drew his sword, and proclaimed with disdain in his eyes, "Those who dare to challenge my authority shall meet their end by the sword." Liu Bianwang roared in killing intent, "Stealing my ancient token, snatching my battle merits. Today, even the King of Heaven can't save you." Heavenly Sword snorted, A mere Central Earth person dares to act unruly before my southern heavenly realm. Ignorant of life and death, the young prodigies of the three worlds showed their killing intent one after another. The pressure of the heavenly human five declines pressed down overwhelmingly. The volcano beneath their feet couldn't withstand the collective pressure of the three great venerates and began to shake violently. The blood demon kings, who had retreated inside, anxiously surged out. The white tiger's body crouched low, letting out fearful growls. Its massive form quivered under their pressure. Only Jiang Fan stood proudly, without fear, eyes disdainfully staring down. "Drawing your sword at me? You've never seen the sky." With these words, he stretched out his palm towards the volcano below. The flawless domain immediately pressed down, covering the entire mouth of the volcano. The emerging one-star blood demon kings all exploded into blood mist, without exception. Moreover, the domain layered one upon another. Until 10 domains were used, the inside of the volcano fell into a deathly silence. All the hidden one-star blood demon kings were annihilated, and the beam above his head instantly surged to 160 Xiang. In mere breaths, 10 domains slaughtered 400 blood demon kings. Young Master Xiang, Yun Wong Xiao, Liu Bianwang, and the heavenly sword siblings had eyes filled with shock. Any domain wouldn't shock them too much, for in the vast world there are people cultivating in any domain. But the domain before them made them feel unprecedented unease. Simply due to wounds on their body, they were directly killed by one domain with their form and spirit utterly destroyed, with no resistance. Hundreds of blood demon kings desperately launched counterattacks. Yet all wishes sent into Jiang Fan's body disappeared without a trace. One could not imagine how strong Jiang Fan would be when he secures the Great Venerate title. Would slaughtering them be as effortless as now? More horrifying is that the stronger the domain, the more usage is often restricted by the heavenly Tao. Jiang Fan is quite the opposite, capable of using it 10 times. Ask who among them here can face him in the future. Hiss! Tian Qin felt a chill run down his spine. What kind of monster did Central Earth birth? Young Master Xiang and others wore grave expressions. They looked at Jiang Fan with undisguised fear. Given time, all prodigies of the realms are but ants beneath his feet. Then when they see Jiang Fan, it would be like ants facing the blue sky. Kill him, Liu Bianwang was afraid, feeling deep terror. Jiang Fan must die for him to find peace. Heavenly Sword also showed a murderous gleam. Central Earth is unworthy of such a figure. Young Master Xiang swept the sword across the earth. The terrifying sword Qi split the volcano beneath in two with authority. "Stand back. Did I give you permission to kill him?" Liu Bianwang and Heavenly Sword showed reluctance but dared not go beyond young Master Xiang's sword by an inch. Young Master Xiang looked at Jiang Fan, said, "Come with me to the divine capital, I shall help you enter Sage." The divine power of Wook ancestor Dao revealed Jiang Fan's limitless potential, whether out of jealousy, fear, or desire to control. Jiang Fan without hesitation said, "The three of you come at me together. Bet your world's fate to fight for the crown of this millennium war." He stretched out his hand. Tai Chu Prison Sky Gourd sparkled in his palm. His gaze swept, landed on Liu Bianwang, eyes turning sharp. "Let's start with you." This person holds the deepest killing intent against him, posing the greatest threat. Since he planned to slaughter, starting with him seemed appropriate. The appearance of Tai Chu Prison Sky Gourd instilled strong unease in all three. Liu Bianwang's eyelids twitched wildly, soul fearing, urgently shouting, "Hurry up, attack! Immortal Palace, come!" Behind him appeared a vast cloud of mist, a mirage revealing an immortal palace and divine hall amidst it. With Liu Bianwang's shout, even the ethereal forms transformed into solid reality. Sword strikes without hesitation. His body trembles, blood within rushing like a torrent, as countless black threads fly out from behind him, all shooting towards Jiang Fan. This is precisely the talent of their Dark Shura clan, Puppet. As long as the threads entangle the opponent, they can turn them into a marionette puppet. A solidified immortal palace and a sea of black threads simultaneously crash towards Jiang Fan. This is the full force strike of two heavenly human five declines great venerates. Jiang Fan's eyes reveal killing intent, firmly locking onto Liu Bianwang, activating the Tai Chu Prison Sky Gourd. Simultaneously handling two people more than enough. But just as he opens his mouth to shout Liu Bianwang, 3 words, the hunting ground suddenly resounds with the low and solemn sound of a horn. As the sound passes, the world suddenly turns cold, and all the hair on Jiang Fan's body stands up uncontrollably, covered with goosebumps. Liu Bianwang and the Heavenly Sword's expressions suddenly change. They hurriedly restrain their talents, actually afraid to attack Jiang Fan anymore, fully retracting their surging aura. Even young Master Xiang sheathes his sword, casting his gaze around. Yun Wangxiao, who had remained silent without making a move, reminded, Jiang Fan, quickly put away your magical treasure, restrain all your aura. Do not speak, and do not make any noise. Otherwise, certain death awaits. He hesitates for a moment. Is this a trick because they fear his Tai Chu prison sky gourd trying to fool him? However, seeing young Master Xiang sheath his sword, he knows it's true. Immediately and decisively follows the advice. Others might play tricks, but young Master Xiang won't. To put it accurately, he disdains to do so. Meanwhile, the white tiger beneath him even crouched down, intentionally suppressing its rough breathing, not making any noise. It stretches out its tiger claws, once again drawing a sickle and a skull on the ground. Jiang Fan's heart slightly tightens. The third kind of legendary ancient dark creatures. Is it really that terrifying? Even one as strong as young Master Xiang, even one as arrogant as Liu Bianwang, both refrain from acting or speaking. Giants, blood demons, aren't they also ancient dark creatures? Why is the third kind of ancient dark creature so terrifying? Thinking about it, Yun Wangxiao's voice suddenly speaks in his mind. Be careful, the third kind of ancient dark creatures is coming. Jiang Fan looks at the others, realizing they haven't noticed the transmission, and is secretly amazed. The means of the angel clan are indeed mystical. He tries to reply, saying, Elder, what is it called? Dead soul. Yun Wangxiao solemnly transmitted 2 words. Jiang Fan is in awe. From the name alone, it doesn't seem like anything good. He ponders and asks, is it more dangerous than giants, blood demons? Yun Wangxiao's voice grows even heavier. It's so dangerous that it almost wipes out its own kind. Currently, they only exist in Linglang hunting grounds and in very few other worlds. Jiang Fan is puzzled. How did they drive themselves to extinction? Yun Wangxiao continues his voice transmission. Dead soul exists in a soul state, fearless of any attacks from outside the soul level. Moreover, unless mastered in powerful soul defense techniques, creatures of the same realm cannot block its sickle. Gasp. Jiang Fan inhales sharply, finally understanding the terrifying nature of such dark creatures. No one can inflict even the slightest harm upon it, yet it can effortlessly snatch life away. In this world, those who have mastered soul techniques or possess soul talents and domains are extremely rare. Most creatures that encounter them are doomed to die. Yun Wangxiao slowly says, throughout the millennia, any world invaded by dead soul has not survived. All creatures inside were wiped out. And when there are no creatures to harvest, dead souls kill each other, ultimately almost driving themselves extinct with only a few powerful dead souls remaining. Jiang Fan realizes. He thinks about the Asura clan settlements raised by the ancient giants in the southern heavenly realm. Why did the giants specify hunting only once a century? It's to give them a chance to breed, so there's prey left after each hunt isn't completely depleted. The dead soul suffered from doing everything too thoroughly. Yun Wangxiao stares into the distance. Amidst the howling wind, a vast ominous shadow cast upon the earth, turning it as black as ink. His voice transmission suddenly heavy. It's here. Remember, don't make a sound. Dead souls in the hunting ground are selected from those remnant souls. You can imagine how dangerous they are. Jiang Fan's expression is deeply serious. The dead souls killing each other until the end. Those who survived, it's unimaginable how strong they must be. At the very least, the level of heavenly human 5 declines of the human clan, possibly even reaching the virtuous realm. No wonder young Master Xiang is fully prepared. He puts away the rebellious guy on his shoulder, throwing it into the space storage device to prevent it from making any noise. Then he looks at the white tiger. This old coin fears death even more than he does. No need for extra caution. Lastly, it's the puppet of the 3-crowned Asura king. Being a puppet, it needs no worry at all. However, Jiang Fan didn't notice the female Asura hidden in the black mist. Her gaze quietly shifts. Jiang Fan ensures there's nothing amiss, then holds his breath, silently watching the strange, huge shadow in the distance. It seems to possess its own spiritual wisdom, moving rapidly across various parts of the earth. Crack, suddenly. In the nearby pile of chaotic rocks, a heavenly human 3-declined strongman hiding within accidentally steps on a stone, producing a crisp sound. Though far away, Jiang Fan and others barely hear the faint sound, no louder than breathing. Yet the shadow even farther away sensed it. The shadow that was moving elsewhere suddenly darts towards the chaotic rock pile. That heavenly human 3 decline strongman is greatly shocked and hurriedly uses the instantaneous movement ability of divinity transformation venerable, trying to escape the ordeal. But the shadow is simply too fast. Before he even has time to react, the shadow envelops the rock pile, plunging it into darkness. A piercing scream halts abruptly in the shadow. When the shadow slowly retreats, everyone's pupils shrink, realizing that the life force within the rock pile has been wiped out. The eyes are opened wide like bells, the face is filled with terror, arms clinging desperately around the neck. This is a heavenly human 3 decline, dead in just one encounter. Beads of cold sweat appear on Jiang Fan's forehead, not daring to breathe heavily. Everyone else is the same, none daring to make the slightest sound. Even Wong dares not to use voice transmission. The world falls into a dead silence. Only the ghostly shadow black as ink moves about the ancient wilderness hunting ground. Occasionally, a scattered blood demon king is accidentally enveloped by the shadow. Its rough breaths and strong heartbeats captured at close range by the shadow, ending its life on the spot. Jiang Fan is deeply shocked. It's not just staying silent that ensures survival. If accidentally enveloped by the shadow, it's still extremely dangerous. Fortunately, all 5 humans and the tiger have good sense, certainly not making such low-level mistakes as causing noise. However, unanticipated troubles arose. The side of the volcano being split cannot hold after remaining strong for so long. With a thunderous roar, it suddenly collapses. The thunderous noise echoes throughout the world, and the shadow moving to the distance naturally senses it. Jiang Fan dully looks at young Master Xiang who cleaved the volcano. At this moment, the only thought comes to mind. Pretentiousness meets divine retribution indeed. Update, he had thought about various possibilities of them being discovered by the shadow. Never did he expect it would be young Master Xiang's magnificent sword to leave its mark. Whoosh! The shadow gave them no time at all, instantly enveloping the volcano beneath them. Several remaining 2-star and 3-star blood demon kings, without any suspense, met their end immediately, their screams reaching up to them. Vaguely, Jiang Fan seemed to hear their curses too. The tragic cries close to his ears made Jiang Fan's heart shudder, instinctively urging him to run fast. But reason told him, at this moment, any movement would lead to death. No matter how fast he ran, he couldn't outpace the shadow. Young Master Xiang and the others, along with the white tiger beneath their feet, all remained calm and still. Fortunately, it was them, either top-level great venerates of various realms or beast kings emerging from hunting grounds. Had it been anyone else, how could they possess such strong willpower? Now, they could only wait for the shadow to finish searching the volcanic ruins and retreat. This process did not take long. After just a few breaths, with another 2 cries abruptly stopping, the shadow withdrew from the ruins, wandering towards a distant area. Jiang Fan was so tense that his whole body was drenched in sweat. Liu Wong, Wong, and Heavenly Sword all kept their gaze fixed on the shadow, their expressions extremely tense. Luckily, the shadow finally seemed to be leaving. Once it was out of their sight, it would be time for them to escape and leave. But just as it was about to move away, it suddenly stopped again. Jiang Fan's heart skipped a beat, sensing something was terribly wrong. Wong and the others' faces changed drastically too. The shadow must have realized. Indeed, the shadow unexpectedly rose into the air, slowly moving toward the space above the volcano, trying to probe for any hidden fish slipping through the net. Jiang Fan made a decisive move, stepping on the white tiger's head, signaling to run quickly. The white tiger, too, was seasoned from battles and was not one to bury its head in the sand like an ostrich. This was a situation calling for immediate action. The later, the more dangerous. Young Master Xiang, Liu Wong, Wong, and Heavenly Sword also made extremely decisive choices. Young Master Xiang suddenly pointed to the distance. "I am omnipresent." A ripple of law power was unleashed. With his movement, the shadow swiftly locked onto them. In the next instant, darkness engulfed everyone's vision, plunging them into this deadly black shadow. Jiang Fan was horrified upon realizing this wasn't a mere shadow. It was a living entity. Its body compressed into a flattened shadow, with 2 blood-red eyes like phantoms within, capturing the prey hidden in the shadow. Moreover, it immediately sensed their presence. A black blade, chilling to the soul, silently cut towards them. Whoosh! Young Master Xiang, being the first to act, was also the first to suffer the attack, instantly turning into mist. It turned out he had already used the law to become incorporeal. His true self had appeared outside the shadow and was concentrating silently again. Heavenly Sword's face changed drastically, deciding to act swiftly too. At the moment the blade sliced towards him, a puppet identical to him appeared in front, pulsing with the wave of law. The blade cut through his body, but the damage appeared on the puppet instead. A piercing scream emanated from the puppet. In contrast, Heavenly Sword avoided the attack unscathed and seized the chance to instantaneously move away from the shadow, hiding away and staying silent. The blade also sliced through Liu Bianwang, but he remained composed. He was the most prepared participant this time. Only a slight crackling could be heard, some magic artifact in his embrace shattered, erupting with a soul-level law wave. It was a soul defensive law. Dodging the attack, Liu Bianwang decisively instantaneously moved away. Before leaving, he glimpsed Jiang Fan, who reacted the quickest, already riding the white tiger leaping out of the shadow, evading the blade's attack. His gaze suddenly flashed with fierce anger. They all relied on the power of laws to evade the attack, and Jiang Fan thought he could escape easily. Impossible. Without thinking, he tossed a bottle of silver undulating liquid back. The bottle shattered, and the liquid glommed onto Jiang Fan and the white tiger like a living creature, immobilizing them. The gigantic commotion naturally drew the dead soul's attention. The dreadful soul blade went straight for the human and tiger. Yun Wangxiao's face changed, but he didn't hesitate, seizing the chance as Jiang Fan drew the fire and instantaneously escaped. They all escaped except Jiang Fan, who was trapped in the shadow. Liu Bianwang turned to sneer coldly after escaping the shadow. "Fight with me? Are you worthy? Your achievements and your gourd are mine now." Who would have expected what happened next? A purple glow flashed on his wrist, wrapping him in a cluster of space power, forcibly teleporting him. The next instant, his vision darkened, and unexpectedly appeared in front of Jiang Fan and the white tiger. A purple ring on Jiang Fan's wrist glimmered just like on his own. "You!" Liu Bianwang was startled, wanting to ask when it was put on him. But that dreadful blade had already swept over, silently penetrating his body. Crack, luckily, he had another soul law on him, again blocking this strike. Similarly, Jiang Fan and the white tiger also escaped the attack unharmed. Jiang Fan glanced at him coldly, retrieving his hand ring while the white tiger finally broke free from the silver liquid, instantaneously escaping the shadow. Liu Bianwang was enraged. This wretched thing causing him to squander another life-saving law. But he had no time to be angry. He hurriedly instantaneously moved away too. Thus, all 5 individuals and 1 tiger entrapped in extreme peril succeeded in escaping. They spread out to 5 corners around the shadow, maintaining a significant distance. Having witnessed the shadow's speed far surpassing heavenly human 5 declines instantaneous movement, none dared to act rashly, all restraining their aura, staying motionless. At this time, anyone moving might divert the shadow, creating an escape opportunity for the others. The shadow lunged in vain, failing to kill anyone, swirling angrily. A soul-level shriek swept across all directions. Jiang Fan suddenly felt intense soul pain. Seeing young Master Xiang and others all frowning too, it was obviously unpleasant. Yet they all endured it, still not making a single sound. Infuriated, the shadow, immense beyond measure, churned like boiling water, bubbling furiously. Then the shadow continuously contracted, rising high in the middle. 10 feet, 20 feet, 30 feet, 40 feet, 50 feet. Until 80 feet the shadow finally settled. No, this was no longer a shadow. It was an 80-foot-tall ghost cloaked in a black shadow cape with no legs, suspended in midair. Beneath the brim was a plane of pitch-black void, with blood-red eyes radiating cold, ruthless glimmer. Black shadow coalesced into sinister bone claws, gripping a gigantic 80-foot scythe. It emanated a terrifying sharpness, sending the soul shivering. This very scythe was harvesting them earlier, and the towering black-robed ghost up front was indeed the true form of the dead soul. Jiang Fan secretly shuddered. There were 5 half-transparent stars on its brim symbolizing the soul's origin, indicating it was merely the weakest 5-star dead soul in the hunting ground. Nevertheless, it nearly annihilated the 5 people and 1 tiger present. Jiang Fan completely believed that no world survived an invasion by the dead soul. He couldn't imagine how these worlds could withstand such extremely dangerous dark beings. What's even more concerning for Jiang Fan was the dead soul, now appearing in its true form, remained furious. It was not ready to let go, its blood-red eyes surveying the surroundings as if sensing several people nearby. Update, suddenly, it turned its body and looked toward Liu Bianwang's direction. After using Soul Defense Law twice consecutively, some faint residual waves lingered around Liu Bianwang, making him more conspicuous than the others. Liu Bianwang's expression changed dramatically. Damn, he no longer had the Soul Defense Law, only the Escape Law. But if he used it, the dead soul would fixate on him completely and hunt him down. Wouldn't that benefit the others? Especially Jiang Fan. This bastard used his life-saving law to avoid a disaster, and now he's going to use him to escape to heaven. Why should he? A flash of hostility appeared in his eyes, and he retrieved a blood-colored token from his chest. On it was a character, Blood, filled with a murderous aura. With its appearance, Jiang Fan felt a pang of anxiety. At the same time, an identical Blood character uncontrollably appeared on his forehead. The seal of chaotic ancient blood marquee. That token made Jiang Fan's internal seal sense it and surface. This seal contained the power of the chaotic ancient blood marquee. Although weak at this moment, it was like a beacon in the dark, visible from a distance. The dead soul unexpectedly detected it. It decisively turned around, its blood-red eyes precisely locking onto Jiang Fan. Liu Bianwang revealed a vicious, cold smile. "Will you not die this time?" Young Master Xiang, Yun Wongxiao, and Heavenly Sword watched silently, indifferent. They all had life-saving methods to help Jiang Fan get out of trouble, but why help him? They were meeting for the first time. There was no need to expend precious life-saving laws for him. The dead soul raised its scythe, letting out an excited screech. Jiang Fan's heart sank to the bottom. He coldly looked at Liu Bianwang, then at the three of Heavenly Sword who planned to use his downfall to escape, and then at the various contestants from afar hoping for his demise. Steeling himself, he took out a black lotus leaf. It was a leaf of the Black Lotus of Tribulation. The demon continent's beloved great wine sacrifice inscribed a law on it himself. It was, "Always keep smiling." Jiang Fan coldly said, "Don't blame me, everyone. If we are to die, let's die together." With that, he decisively activated the "Always keep smiling" law on the leaf. With a whoosh, the law swept across a vast area, leaving no one untouched. Young Master Xiang and the four surrounding them were the first to be affected. Although they were great venerates of the heavenly human five declines, the effect of the law's inscription was much weaker on them. But caught off guard, they were still affected. Young Master Xiang smiled slightly and said, "I." Although he quickly regained clarity from the law, he had already uttered a sound, exposing his presence. Yun Wongxiao and Heavenly Sword also let out laughs simultaneously. Once they regained consciousness, their faces changed dramatically. Liu Bianwang laughed heartily. "Haha, Central Earth's Jiang Fan." The next moment his smile froze. The fear was written all over his face. Even the heavenly human five declines were affected, let alone others. No matter where they hid, they were influenced by the law. "Ha ha ha, Central Earth's Jiang Fan, I'll remember you, ha ha ha. I don't want to laugh, I just want to cry, ha 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 ha. Stop, I don't want to laugh, ha ha, I really don't want to laugh, ha ha ha." Laughter filled the scene, with all sorts of joyous laughter creating a lively atmosphere. Those unaware might think it was a holiday. Among them, Jiang Yishan's laughter was the loudest. "Ha ha ha, Jiang Fan, my thanks to your ancestors of 18 generations. Meeting you made my life complete, ha 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 ha." The deafening noise momentarily confused the dead soul, unsure of whom to strike first. But soon it locked onto Liu Bianwang, the closest to himself. It turned and swung its scythe. Liu Bianwang was horrified, decisively activating his life-preserving trump card. A mist containing the law exploded, enveloping him. When the scythe sliced through the misty figure, the mist suddenly dispersed, and the figure disappeared. Only a scream came from the horizon. Clearly, Liu Bianwang fled quickly, but was still wounded in the soul by the scythe, taking advantage of the situation. Jiang Fan decisively rode the white tiger to escape. Young Master Xiang, Heavenly Sword, and Yun Wongxiao also used instantaneous movement to flee. The contestants from afar, affected by Always Keep Smiling, ran while laughing, occasionally cursing their fate. The dead soul looked around, unsure whom to chase. But the hesitation didn't last long, because shadows streamed across the hunting ground from all directions. Several unlucky contestants collided with the shadows, perishing on the spot with screams. Jiang Fan's scalp tingled. The laughter in this place unexpectedly attracted so many dead souls. This was truly inescapable. He asked the white tiger beneath him, "Is the entire hunting ground filled with dead souls?" The white tiger, running and nodding its big head, thought for a while, then shook it. Jiang Fan pondered, was there a safe place? Could it be the original Bronze Land? No, that place where the white tiger, the old coin, could hunt contestants. It's unreasonable for dead souls to be prohibited. Suddenly, he recalled the prohibition symbol the white tiger had drawn. Narrowing his eyes, he asked, "Are you referring to that forbidden land?" The white tiger nodded heavily. Jiang Fan grew grave. The white tiger had drawn 3 designs previously, fearing the forbidden land more than the dead souls. Clearly, the forbidden land was more terrifying than the dead souls. Should they really seek refuge there? He was now almost on par with young Master Xiang in terms of light pillars. In fact, he was slightly ahead. As long as he could find a place to hide, there was great hope of ending the archaic hunt as the victor. Running around aimlessly would only lead to eventually encountering dead souls. He asked again, "If we remain around the forbidden land without rashly approaching, is that viable?" The white tiger hesitated before reluctantly nodding, indicating it might be worth a try. Jiang Fan's eyes lit up, saying, "Let's go, quickly head to the forbidden land." 1 person and 1 tiger charged toward the deepest northern part of the garden. An hour later, an ancient tall wall emerged at the world's edge. It marked the end of the hunting ground. Below the wall, there was a deep black river, seemingly connecting to the external void. Nearby the river, shadows of people were faintly visible. They were strong figures from various realms also escaping to here. Clearly, they had realized this forbidden land was the only safe place and managed to reach it. Jiang Fan stared at the river, a puzzled expression on his face. It's called forbidden land, but it doesn't seem dangerous at all. This was contrary to the forbidden land he imagined. There weren't any proper restrictions, nor were there any fierce beasts guarding. The first arrivals also appeared relaxed, showing not a hint of tension. It was hard to see why this place was deemed forbidden land. But regardless, they successfully escaped to here, thanks to the sky observation treasure, which allowed them to monitor the surroundings beforehand. They always managed to conceal themselves until the shadows were distant before proceeding. That is why it took such a long time. Even so, there were 2 instances of extreme danger, nearly being unexpectedly engulfed by shadows. Fortunately, they were safe and successfully reached their destination. Yet at this moment, the shadows beneath the wall suddenly froze. Jiang Fan's heart skipped a beat, immediately sensing something ominous. Fan secretly transmitted his voice. The white tiger reacted quickly and hurriedly stopped in its tracks. 1 person and 1 tiger looked behind them, both breaking out in a cold sweat. Unbeknownst to them, shadows had been tracking them, their movement reaching tens of thousands of feet behind and rapidly closing in. As they neared, the shadows stopped, unable to find their target, and began to scout the area. Indeed, one cannot be careless, almost got caught. They must wait for the shadows to retreat before making a move. But then something unexpected happened to Jiang Fan. The white tiger stopped too abruptly. It became still, but the shockwave following it swept some stones, hitting its rear and hind legs. This was bound to make a lot of noise. By the time Jiang Fan noticed, it was too late to stop it. His heart leaped to his throat, his eyes wide open. He had only one thought: it's over. The dead soul would discover them. Little did he know, just at that critical moment. The puppet, completely still, had its long silver hair silently spreading out, wrapping around the oncoming stones gently. Then it slowly retracted them back, placing them lightly before it. The shadow seemed to sense something, paused to scan the area, but, finding no new disturbances, gave up. It moved towards the distant Black River, almost reaching the riverbank before seemingly apprehensive, retreating and then moving along the city wall to the distance. Not till it vanished from sight did Jiang Fan quietly pat the white tiger's back. The white tiger immediately retracted its neck and quickly executed several instantaneous movements, dashing to the base of the city wall. The moment its feet touched the ground, Jiang Fan's heart finally settled. Safe at least temporarily out of danger. However, another unexpected hidden threat remained. He sharply glanced towards the 3-crowned Usura king shrouded in black mist, saying, "When did you break free from control?" He felt a chill down his spine. The 3-crowned Usura king had somehow regained autonomous action without his knowledge. If she had harbored ill intent and attacked him while he was unguarded, the consequences could have been dire. At this moment, Jiang Fan held the most victories and the Tai Chu prison sky gored. If she became greedy even for a moment, Jiang Fan would be finished. How could this not give him a fright? The puppet merely sat there, head lowered in silence. A flicker of uncertainty passed through Jiang Fan's eyes, but ultimately he considered that she hadn't betrayed him and had just saved them, so he dismissed the cold glint in his eyes. Instead, with a wave of his hand, the token controlling her appeared in his palm. "You're free!" He casually crushed the token. The black mist enveloping the three-crowned Usura king rapidly dispersed, revealing her true form. Her long silver hair flowed smoothly, and her exquisite oval face was adorned with crystal-like lustrous eyes. However, her expression was cold, at least when she looked at Jiang Fan. "Green Pearl?" Jiang Fan was startled, unable to believe seeing Green Pearl here. Even more unbelievable was that she had become the puppet he had used for so long. "How did you get here?" Jiang Fan asked, moving forward excitedly. Green Pearl raised her hand to stop Jiang Fan from approaching, speaking calmly. "It was the second ancient token you tossed out that I obtained." Jiang Fan realized it was that replicated ancient token. He didn't expect that in the final moment it was Green Pearl who acquired and held on to it. He showed a hint of relief, saying, "So you encountered the Dark Shura clan and they controlled you?" Green Pearl nodded calmly. In fact, when the ancient token flew towards her, she was hesitant to catch it. She knew with her strength she would likely perish in the ancient hunt. But seeing Jiang Fan, besieged by the giant emperor and the 10 sins of Central Earth, so helpless, she couldn't help but catch it as if driven by some unseen force. And as expected, trouble followed. Planning to follow Jiang Fan secretly, she departed the Bronze Ground only to be targeted and captured by the Dark Shura clan. In the southern heavenly realm, the Dark Shura clan and other Shura clans are like water and fire. She was already prepared mentally for the eventual execution by the heavenly sword. Yet what complicated her feelings was encountering Jiang Fan again. When the three-colored divine rainbow and the flawless domain were displayed, she knew the person hidden in the dark was Jiang Fan. Even more to her surprise, Jiang Fan had bought her. Was it good karma or a karmic entanglement? Though not wanting to owe him any more favors, she endlessly found herself indebted. Alas, Jiang Fan sighed as well. "It's quite a coincidence that I managed to rescue you." Their fates always seem to intersect unexpectedly. Back when the luck giant king cursed him with bad luck, he stumbled upon Green Pearl bathing and almost got killed by her. Now Green Pearl was captured and made into a puppet, and he bought her, purely by chance. A ripple stirred in Green Pearl's heart. But remembering how Jiang Fan used the most affectionate words to deceive her in collusion with Red Sleeves into publicly declaring she would be his wife in the next life, only to realize she had been made a fool of. That ripple quickly subsided and she spoke with calm eyes. "Thank you, young Master Jiang, for saving me. This life of mine is yours. I'll repay it." Jiang Fan sighed, wondering if she was still hurt. He didn't want to explain further. Suddenly, he remembered he had taken back Green Pearl's soul. It was time to return it to her. But just at that moment, a domain of destruction enveloped him without warning. Roar. The white tiger beneath him had been on guard, roaring fiercely and shattering the ambushing domain. Jiang Fan immediately became wary, looking towards the source of the domain. It was a woman in the heavenly human 2 declines. Having failed the sneak attack, she immediately stepped back, eyes showing disappointment. Only then did Jiang Fan notice that somehow many powerful entities from various realms had gathered around them. Their presence was either overt or covert, old or young, with the vast majority having lost their crowns. At this moment, they all fixed their gaze on Jiang Fan. More accurately, they were looking at the crown on Jiang Fan's head. Having survived the calamity of the dead soul, their ambitions were rekindled. If they could seize Jiang Fan's victories, they would become the first in the ancient hunt. The peace monument that exempts one from the next millennial war is an incredibly precious item. Even if not taken back to their world, selling it would bring unimaginable wealth. Selling it to a world in need could effortlessly secure an opportunity for entering Sage. Jiang Fan stood up, scanning them with cold eyes, saying, "Truly, men die for wealth, birds die for food." If it were someone like Liubian Wong coveting his victories, it might still be understandable. But for a group of heavenly humans in the 2 declines, 3 declines, and 4 declines, knowing that a 5-decline great demon like the white tiger is present, to still dare to covet. The woman who attacked, seeing everyone gathered, regained her momentum. "Central Earth Jiang Fan, do you, a heavenly person in decline, deserve first place? Hand over the crown, and escaping the whirlpool of trouble is your wisest choice. Otherwise, I see it hard for you to escape a calamity." Them being able to participate in the ancient hunt means they naturally have powerful means to face foes. No matter how formidable Jiang Fan's victories or how protective the White Tiger is, he is still just one man against many. Update, yes, hand over the crown. Such achievements are beyond what you can bear. Young man, don't just focus on what's in front of you, leave yourself a way out. Jiang Fan glanced around at them, each with eyes full of longing and greed, yet none dared to step forward. Because whoever strikes first will likely die at the hands of the White Tiger, creating opportunities for others in vain. Seeing this, Jiang Fan sneered, "A bunch of worthless scoundrels. Saying I'm not worthy was my achievement achieved by you. Saying I can't bear it. My crown remains, but yours have all been taken. You only possess the heart to disdain others but lack the skill to match. Do you think you're worthy to represent your worlds and change fate?" If any of them had the guts like Liu Bianwang to come up and seize it, he would even look at them with some regard. At least it would show they dare to act and take responsibility. But this group, who looks down on his heavenly human decline cultivation yet covets his achievement, calculating against others, hesitating to battle. These people are truly not worthy of being first in the hunt. Well said. A powerful aura suddenly dominated the surroundings, causing faces to change slightly. It was Yun Wong Xiao, speeding toward them while radiating a holy light. With hands behind his back, he disdainfully looked down upon the crowd. None of us dare say Jiang Fan of Central Earth is unworthy of his crown. Who do you think you are? How dare you spew such nonsense here? A rabble of misfits. Yun Wong Xiao landed beside Jiang Fan, his gaze fierce as it swept over the crowd. His piercing eyes forced them to retreat, not daring to continue their misconduct. He turned to Jiang Fan, his gaze softening. "Glad you're still alive." Jiang Fan clasped his hands. "Thank you, Senior, for your concern." He silently stepped back a few paces, maintaining some distance from Yun Wong Xiao. Previously, after being framed by Liu Bianwang and left in the shadows, this person who seemed considerate did not hesitate to leave him behind and walk away. Now that he's safe, was saying a few pleasant words supposed to win his heartfelt gratitude. It could only be said that he didn't reject him, but he neither trusted him. A shadow flickered faintly behind him. Luckily, he arrived in time, slipping to the riverbank, and the shadow reluctantly turned away. The one who came was indeed Liu Bianwang, who, upon taking a slight breath, sensed something was amiss. A quick glance made him realize the situation. All participants were pressing Jiang Fan, demanding he hand over the crown, while Yun Wong Xiao firmly supported Jiang Fan. His eyes flashed with a ferocity, blending his greed for the crown and treasure gourd with his hatred for Jiang Fan. "Jiang Fan, do you see? The righteous are supported by many, the unrighteous by few. Still not handing over the crown and treasure gourd. If I'm in a good mood, maybe your little life would be spared." How could he let Jiang Fan go? Jiang Fan's always smile caused him to be harmed by dead soul, affecting his breakthrough to the sage realm. For this alone, Jiang Fan dying 10 times wouldn't be enough. Jiang Fan never believed Liu Bianwang, sneering, "The dragon navigates the heavenly Tao, the rat skulks the sewers. Your path of snakes, insects, rats, and ants surely doesn't align with mine." Yun Wong Xiao, hands behind his back, his eyes hinting at a warning. "Are you, with a wounded soul, suitable to threaten my person in front of me?" But his words had barely fallen. An ominously deep voice floated in. "What about adding me to the mix?" Thump. A dull thud resounded as Heavenly Sword landed, stepping on a giant blood demon king from the sky. Beside him was the four-crowned Usura king's sister, Tian Qin. Both of their auras were unstable, showing the hardship they endured to flee here. Heavenly Sword glared angrily at Jiang Fan. "I won't be at peace until I kill you." On the way here, he encountered Dead Soul's shadow multiple times, exhausting all his magical treasures. He almost did not make it out alive, saved only by his sister Tian Qin's timely use of her magical treasure. For all of this, he had Jiang Fan to thank. Yun Wong Xiao's expression turned slightly grave, mumbling, "The situation's not looking good." He considered himself capable of handling Liu Bianwang, but with Heavenly Sword added, it was hard to say. Unless young Master Xiang also stood with them. As he pondered, a dignified and powerful voice, asserting dominance over the 8 wildernesses, gradually transmitted, "Is everyone here? I have arrived at just the right moment." Young Master Xiang, donning a black robe, adorned with an emperor's crown with a 180-meter light beam, arrived stepping through the void. Expressions shifted all around. Young Master Xiang not only successfully evaded Dead Soul's pursuit, but also managed to seize a 20-meter crown. Thus, he regained the top position once again. Yun Wong Xiao, Liu Bianwang, and Heavenly Sword's expressions subtly changed. This guy is truly formidable. Yun Wongxiao asked. Young Master Xiang, which side do you want to stand on? He sighed deeply in his heart, fearing young Master Xiang would stand on neither side, as he was already the uncrowned king. Young Master Xiang surveyed the surroundings, quickly assessing the situation, gripping the sword handle, one hand behind. I only stand by myself. Anyone who surpasses me is my enemy. Jiang Fan's expression darkened. He wasn't concerned about which side young Master Xiang stood, but rather about where his extra 20-meter light beam came from. The hunt for the ancient blood demon king had long ended, so it could only have been someone else's crown. But would young Master Xiang deign to snatch someone else's crown? Just as he was pondering, the bald-headed Jiang Yishan followed closely behind young Master Xiang. Seeing Jiang Fan from afar, he fumed with anger. You insufferable guy! Jiang Fan was momentarily stunned, then understood where young Master Xiang's crown had come from. Brother Jiang, aren't you quite unbrotherly? Rather give your crown to an outsider than to me? Jiang Yishan was so furious he almost cursed. And you have the nerve to bring that up? If not for you getting me chased by dead soul, would I have ended up with dead souls marking me? Luckily, young Master Xiang passed by, and by pledging my crown to him, I managed to save my own life. Jiang Fan wryly smiled, saying, An unintended harm. I didn't expect Brother Jiang was secretly hiding nearby. This cunning fellow was lurking near the volcano, likely waiting to stealthily gain benefits. Had any one of Jiang Fan, young Master Xiang, or their faction fallen, the achievements in their crowns would be ownerless. Being exposed like this, Jiang Yishan's face showed a tinge of red, sneering. I lost everything because of you. You losing the first place makes us even. His words carried a hint of schadenfreude. Jiang Fan's gaze shifted, sweeping over the prodigies of various worlds. Some of their crowns remained, but they hadn't even gathered a light pillar, showing they hadn't reached 100 kills. Even combined, it wasn't enough for 200. Snatching from them was of no use. Jiang Fan's eyes fell sharply on Liu Bianwang and Heavenly Sword. It seemed to reclaim first place he had to make a move on them. This battle was inevitable. Suddenly, unexpectedly, a splash from the Black River beside them drew attention, pulling an expert closest to the river into its depths. The latter had no time to call for help and vanished beneath the waters. All eyes turned to the scene, faces filled with suspicion. Yun Wongxiao's expression shifted slightly, saying, During the coming battle, keep away from this river. Fan had been curious for a long time and asked, What happens if you fall into it? Yun Wongxiao said solemnly, You will be dragged into a battlefield of a certain world. Moreover, it will be a deadly battle with a slim chance of survival, and if you're unlucky, you'll die inside. Even if you don't die once the time for the ancient hunt ends and you haven't returned, you'll be deemed dead, do you understand? Jiang Fan shuddered. The implication was that if he couldn't return, the war in his own world would continue. Equivalent to coming to the ancient hunt in vain. He asked, Then how can one return? Yun Wongxiao said, Help the world you entered win the war, like in Linlang Hunt, where you helped mortals successfully resist the invasion of the ancient blood demon. Jiang Fan felt extremely heavy. Only 3 two-hour periods remained until the end of the ancient hunt. With such a short time, helping the world to end the war is absolutely impossible. Just like the war between Central Earth and the Heavenly Realm. Even the giant emperor is participating, so it's not something that can be ended quickly, right? Who among them can influence the battle situation? No wonder the White Tiger regards this place as a forbidden land. Even an existence like it would face great danger if it fell inside. Jiang Fan moved away from the black scene somewhat. He's now sitting in second place, looking at first, with the situation looking great. Falling into it would be a complete waste. Staring at Liu Bianwang and the Heavenly Sword, Jiang Fan said, White Tiger, choose one of the two to hold off. Senior Yun, please temporarily block the others from the other worlds. Once I've taken care of one, I'll come to assist you. Yun Wongxia, with great interest, said, Good, I also want to see how powerful your gourd is. He looked towards the eager experts from various worlds and said, If you have the courage, come and seize it. Upon hearing this, the atmosphere on the field immediately became tense. An inevitable slaughter was about to occur. The 160 Zhang light pillar of Jiang Fan was a trophy everyone wanted for themselves. Let me lend you a hand. Green Pearl stood up and came to Jiang Fan's side. Her gaze remained calm. Jiang Fan looked at her, his eyes showing apology, and said, There's no need, you should live well. If I die, you can still represent Central Earth to halt the ongoing war of Central Earth. The words, Central Earth Green Pearl, were engraved on her crown. Because she holds the ancient token from Central Earth. So no matter what race she is, she represents Central Earth. After saying that, Jiang Fan pondered slightly and took out a black sealed jade box, saying, "May I borrow a drop of essence blood from you?" Green Pearl, puzzled, nonetheless forced a drop of essence blood from her fingertip, which fell onto the jade box. The blood rapidly merged into the jade box as if absorbed by something. She was a bit curious but didn't inquire, too lazy to ask. She no longer wished to understand anything about Jiang Fan, no more ever. Jiang Fan put the jade box away and placed it in his chest, then glanced at the aggressive crowd opposite him. His eyes sharp, he said, "If you don't make a move now, the ancient hunt will end soon." Liu Bianwang and the Heavenly Sword exchanged a glance, showing a ruthless look in their eyes. Liu Bianwang said coldly, "I'll take care of this kid. I can't believe that his gourd can ignore the protective law on me." The Heavenly Sword nodded in agreement. This dangerous task, since Liu Bianwang volunteered, let him go ahead. And once Jiang Fan is dead, it's not too late to snatch his crown. He locked onto the white tiger and snorted, "Old tiger, killing you won't be difficult." Immediately, he released his talent, waves of black threads rushing like a tidal wave. The white tiger roared, and the terrifying sound pierced through the air and stones, breaking open a large hole in the waves of threads. Then it immediately went into invisibility, lunging towards the Heavenly Sword. A shockwave of the Heavenly Human 5 declines erupted quickly with the collision between the two. The final battle for contention began. Yun Wongxiao also took a deep breath, then reached behind with his hand, drawing out from his back a bone sword that released sacred light. The sword emitted a cold light. He pointed the sword remotely at the world experts. "Come one by one or all at once?" The crowd hesitated and dared not move forward. Liu Bianwang sneered. "If you dare not come forward, get lost. Even with us backing you, you dare not fight. Worthless." The world experts thought it made sense. If with Liu Bianwang and Heavenly Sword joining they still wouldn't dare make a move, they wouldn't have a chance to covet the crown any longer. Instantly, under one person's angry shout, they all rushed forward. Afterwards, Liu Bianwang, staring fiercely at Jiang Fan, said, "I've let you escape several times. This time you won't have another chance." Jiang Fan's eyes glinted coldly. This guy had tried to put him to death repeatedly and bore grudges. If not killed today, there's no guarantee he wouldn't come to Central Earth for revenge, harming the innocent. He must seize the opportunity today to kill him. He grasped the Tai Chu prison sky gourd hidden in his sleeve without any nonsense and shouted, "Liu Bianwang, I call your name, dare you respond?" Liu Bianwang's heart skipped a beat. Could this be the activation method of his gourd treasure, requiring a response to be activated? Thinking of this, he sneered, "Do you take me for a fool? I absolutely won't answer." Unexpectedly, an orange chain flew out from the gourd and wrapped around him. Liu Bianwang was startled and immediately sensed great danger. He crushed a life-saving law and tried to break the orange chain. Surprisingly, the law, upon hitting the chain, was bounced off. He gasped, "What? What level of magic artifact is this? Even the law doesn't fear. And didn't I not answer? Why did the gourd still activate?" Jiang Fan chuckled, "Just teasing you." Would the Tai Chu prison sky gourd that required the opponent's consent to activate still be called a mid-grade boundary artifact? His eyes showed sharpness. Once Liu Bianwang was captured, he could also capture the Heavenly Sword. With two dealt with, the remaining world experts would be much easier to handle. Even if he doesn't act, simply throwing out the crown of Liu Bianwang or the Heavenly Sword would be enough to trigger them fighting amongst themselves. The situation was already clear. Thinking of this, he hesitated not to activate the Tai Chu prison sky gourd, opened his mouth and shouted, "Collect!" However, Jiang Fan suddenly discovered that his body was out of control. The divinity transformation power within him was sealed, and his limbs felt as if deprived of their usage rights, becoming puppet-like, unable to move. Meanwhile, his eyes gradually transformed into thunderbolt. Overhead appeared the Tai Kai Yin Yang umbrella and a thunder dragon underfoot. These were precisely the 6 forces unified initiated. Accurately speaking, it was triggered by someone. Just as previously in the 10,000 Tribulations Holy Temple, the white-robed skeleton had triggered the 6 forces unified technique. Jiang Fan's pupils constricted, his gaze struggled to turn, facing Yun Wongxiao. His back to Jiang Fan, facing the world experts, yet he never acted. At this moment he slowly turned around. His expression still gentle, but now with a trace of relieved and light-hearted smile. "Finally, the moment has arrived. I quite like that surprised expression of yours." Didn't expect it, did you? I can control your heavenly thunder 6 parts. As if feeling that Jiang Fan couldn't speak, unable to highlight his own cleverness. With a wave of his hand, Jiang Fan could open his mouth to speak. You've been lying to me all along. Yun Wongseo smiled and said, You still don't understand the essence of the archaic hunting. Everything can be hunted. Even close friends and relatives can turn into prey at the last moment, let alone you and me, who are strangers. Yun Wongseo's smile deepened. Of course, you were also cautious. No matter how kindly I acted, you always harbored vigilance towards me. But you would never have guessed that the heavenly thunder 6 parts you practiced was merely a domain used by our angel clan to control slaves. Once practiced, you will become our slaves for generations. If I permit you to live, you live. If I command you to die, you must die. So your slight precaution against me serves no purpose. Jiang Fan looked extremely distressed. Why didn't you act earlier? Yun Wongseo looked at the Tai Chu prison sky gourd in Jiang Fan's hand with both heat and dread. With such a dangerous gourd, how dare I act rashly? Only now, when the gourd is activating and cannot be used against me, can I strike decisively and leave you no chance to resist. With that, he flashed in front of Jiang Fan. With a lift of his hand, he seized the Tai Chu prison sky gourd. Looking at the orange chains spreading inside, binding Liu Bianwang, his smile widened. The treasure gourd and human acquired together. Oh, and your accomplishments too. He raised his hand and grabbed the crown from above Jiang Fan's head, merging it into his own crown. A beam of light 100 feet plus Jiang Fan's 160 feet beam merged into 260 feet. Far surpassing young master Xiang. Yun Wongseo laughed heartily. Thank you for your effort. Thank you even more for making the wedding dress for me. As a reward, as your master, I'll grant you release, freeing you from the suffering of slavery. His eyes were smiling, yet his gaze was ice cold. The bone sword in his hand mercilessly pierced Jiang Fan's heart. He acted with extreme ruthlessness, without a shred of hesitation. Because, just like the heavenly sword, he was jealous of Jiang Fan's powerful domain. Why should a mere ant from the central Earth realm possess potential above him? He simply masked it well, not revealing it at that time. The bone sword entered, coldly passing through the body. The sound of the heart being pierced followed. However, what made Yun Wongseo slightly stunned was that it wasn't Jiang Fan's body that was pierced. It was the back of a woman with flowing silver hair. Was it the silver-haired Usura on the tiger's back? At the final moment, Green Pearl had no hesitation, instantaneously moving over to shield Jiang Fan from the fatal blow. The cold sword edge pierced through the heart, the chills spreading from the heart to the whole body, making her gradually lose consciousness, limply leaning against Jiang Fan's chest. The delayed pain made her willow leaf eyebrows bend slightly, yet she didn't utter a sound. Enduring the pain, she looked up at Jiang Fan calmly and said, Jiang Fan, what I owed you, I've repaid. I take back my previous promise. In the next life, let's be strangers and never meet again. As Yun Wongseo withdrew his sword, she felt even colder, her pained body trembling. Then she lay weakly in Jiang Fan's arms, silently closing her eyes, awaiting the death that belonged to her to arrive. However, the death she imagined did not come, and even the pain on her body began to ebb away like a tide. In her confusion, Yun Wongseo's voice came from behind, with a hint of amusement. Ha! Meaningless sacrifice. Well, at least it saves me from striking again. Green Pearl opened her eyes in confusion, looking down only to find that the wound on her pierced chest had mysteriously vanished. If the dress wasn't damaged, she'd have thought everything just now was an illusion. What's going on? As she mumbled to herself, a warm drop of blood fell on the tip of her nose. She wiped it with her finger. A streak of dazzling crimson came into view. She instinctively looked up. The first thing she saw was the flowing blood from the spot on Jiang Fan's heart. She was bewildered. Clearly, this sword pierced her vital point, but it was Jiang Fan who got hurt. Wait. Green Pearl suddenly recalled Venerate Zinni's death. When Jiang Fan suffered a fatal blow, it was Venerate Zinni who embraced the heart-shaped copper lock, transferring the damage Jiang Fan suffered. That scene was exactly the same as now. But she never received that copper lock. Suddenly, Green Pearl remembered Jiang Fan borrowing a drop of her blood earlier. Her mind immediately roared and trembled. The opaque black jade box contained the luck transfer lock. That drop of blood was to let her refine the luck transfer lock, becoming the owner of this lock. Only in this way could the damage she received be transferred to someone else through the luck transfer lock. And this someone else, Jiang Fan chose himself, With the crucial battle approaching, Jiang Fan worried for her safety, so he provided her with a life-saving trump card. Any damage, she would be transferred back to Jiang Fan. Understanding the cause and effect, Green Pearl's previously locked heart was once again fiercely struck. That essence blood she was too lazy to ask about was actually Jiang Fan's final gift to her. The calm in her eyes vanished, replaced with panic. She urgently pressed against Jiang Fan's bleeding heart, saying, "Where's your heavenly clothes, divine water? Quickly take it out, I'll help you take it." Yun Wongxiao said indifferently, "Don't waste your effort. My bone sword contains my sacred aura. Only the healing methods of our angel clan can heal it. Central Earth spirit pills are useless." He raised his sword, aiming at Green Pearl's heart. But looking at her anxious back, he thought of a girl, and the raised sword slowly lowered. "Forget it, the items are already in hand. Slaughtering is meaningless. Besides, I'll let you have a last farewell." With a thought, he dispersed Jiang Fan's heavenly thunder 6 parts. Jiang Fan collapsed weakly towards the ground as if drained of all strength. Green Pearl hurriedly held him, frantically searching his body for spirit pills, anxiously saying, "Don't die, you can't die." Jiang Fan weakly extended his hand, pulling something out from his arms. Green Pearl thought it was the heavenly clothes, divine water, and quickly pried open his hand. But it wasn't for healing. It was a jade box with a strand of soul quietly glowing inside. Green Pearl was stunned. "Is this a strand of my soul? Wasn't it in the hands of the Black Sun King? Why is it with you?" Jiang Fan leaned his powerless head on her shoulder and said, "I asked for it back from him." "Asked? How's that possible?" Green Pearl stared at the soul strand, full of doubt. "From what I know about the Black Sun King, he would never set me free. He would rather destroy the soul and kill me than let anyone else have me." At this moment, the rebellious guy chanted a spell and emerged from the space mirror. It glanced sideways at Green Pearl. Of course, the Black Sun King wouldn't give it. This was exchanged for the Netherworld King and Princess Zaijiang, and it was only obtained through negotiations with the royal tribe at the central settlement. It was a gamble with life. "You, girl, are ungrateful and kept showing a sour face to the master. I'm going to complain to Su Yoren when I get back, not letting you into the Jiang family's gates." Zaijiang, such important hostages, to exchange for a strand of her soul, and negotiating with the royal of the central tribe. What kind of existence was that? Green Pearl understood. It was a formidable power that could kill Jiang Fan 1,000 times with just a glance. But to retrieve a strand of her soul, Jiang Fan faced such a being directly. In the depths of her soul, unprecedented massive waves surged, fiercely pounding her heart. It turned out that her past emotions were not in vain. Jiang Fan truly was willing to sacrifice his life for her. Just like facing Arishura King, he shielded her from death, and today he bore all the harm for her. But what had she given Jiang Fan in return? While Jiang Fan was risking his life negotiating with the six-son giant emperor, she misunderstood him, thinking he was deceiving her. When Jiang Fan gave her the luck transfer lock to acknowledge as master, she calmly and indifferently withdrew her promises, canceling the debts of this life. She bit her red lips hard, causing strands of bright blood to seep out. For the first time, she hated herself. Such an important person in her life, yet she repeatedly chilled his heart. Now she understood, but it was already too late. Feeling the rapidly fading life force of Jiang Fan in her arms, tears trembled and fell from her eyes, her voice shaking. "I'm sorry, Jiang Fan." Immense guilt and regret engulfed her heart. Jiang Fan weakly said, "I never blamed you, thankful to have met you in the heavenly realm." He wasn't blaming her and was grateful for their encounter. Green Pearl's heart hurt even more than when pierced by the bone sword. She held Jiang Fan tightly, as if wanting to keep him, tears rolling down even more. I'm sorry, I take back what I said earlier. I will be your wife in the next life. No, I'm your wife in this life too, your wife in the heavenly realm, your wife in Central Earth, this life and the next. I only acknowledge you as my husband." "Is that all right?" Jiang Fan grew weaker, his breath like gossamer, he struggled to say. "Okay," soon after his last breath dissipated with the wind. "No," Green Pearl shook Jiang Fan, tears streaming like rain. "Don't go, give me a chance to make up for it. Just one chance." The response was Jiang Fan's gradually chilling body. Jiang Fan was dead. Green Pearl's heart felt like it was being continuously stirred by a knife. She held Jiang Fan close again, her heart filled with pain. "I won't be willful anymore, I'll listen to you for everything. Please wake up. I'm begging you, Jiang Fan." Suddenly. She suddenly noticed Jiang Fan's eyelashes fluttering slightly. She thought she was seeing things. She stared intently. Familiar now, the eyelashes fluttered again, even the eyelids twitched. She couldn't believe it, a heart close to death came back to life. She stared, not even daring to breathe, afraid the last strand of life force would dissipate with her breath. Gradually, Jiang Fan's eyelashes fluttered more frequently, as if struggling from the consciousness of death. A faint golden light blossomed at the wound on his chest. It was a small golden feather, the life-saving feather Xia Caoj had given to Jiang Fan before the great battle. At this moment, sensing Jiang Fan's life force dissipating, it finally took effect, successfully pulling him back from death. The next moment, Jiang Fan opened his eyes, his gaze not very dazed. Instead, there was a sense of realization. Having dared to shield Green Pearl from death, he naturally considered the golden feather as a reliance. But his initial design was for Green Pearl when she encountered other dangers, to transfer them onto himself. Unexpectedly, this silly girl shielded him from Yun Wangxiao's sword. So coming back from near death, it was expected. He was just somewhat enlightened, back at the Boundary Mountain battle where Xia Caoj had indeed died. He was grieving, holding Xia Caoj when she suddenly came back to life. He once thought he had made a wrong diagnosis. Now the truth was clear. Xia Caoj was indeed near death at that time, only that she had a life-saving item similar to the golden feather, pulling her back from the grave. You didn't die? Ah! Green Pearl excitedly screamed, pouncing over and knocking Jiang Fan to the ground. Her entire body pressed tightly against his, wishing to merge into his body and never separate again. Cough, cough, Jiang Fan was pressed down heavily and coughed, saying, "Get off me for a moment." No! Green Pearl laid her head on Jiang Fan's chest, her jade-like hands tightly wrapped around his neck. "I won't ever let you go in this life. I will stay by your side forever, never to leave again." Life and death parted them, opening Green Pearl's heart completely. After losing and regaining, she cherished even more. Jiang Fan said, "Let me handle Yun Wangxiao first." Only then did Green Pearl realize that behind them was still a hypocrite intent on killing Jiang Fan. She quickly moved aside, guardedly watching Yun Wangxiao. At this moment, Yun Wangxiao was fixedly staring at the small golden feather on Jiang Fan's chest, with a voice filled with indescribable fear and concern. "What's your relationship with Xia Caoj?" This little feather was Xia Caoj's life-saving magical treasure. She would never give it to someone unimportant. Seeing Jiang Fan of similar age to Xia Caoj, Yun Wangxiao's heart leapt into his throat. Could it be that Jiang Fan took advantage when Xia Caoj was vulnerable then? Thinking of this, his heart felt like it was being cut by a knife. No longer having his usual composure, he shouted sternly, "Speak quickly." Jiang Fan stood up with a calm expression, saying, "She and I are." He had no intention of making a fuss about the senior-junior relationship. That would be disrespectful to Xia Caoj. But the rebellious guy arrogantly crossed his arms and interrupted, saying, "Why are you shouting randomly? How dare you call our young madam by her real name?" Young madam. Yun Wangxiao's heart nearly broke. During Caoj's time in Central Earth was she occupied by this Jiang Fan. His hand holding the bone sword trembled slightly, and he shouted, "Impossible! Kay could not have married a lowly commoner from Central Earth." The rebellious guy snorted, "Otherwise, do you think the life-saving feather came from a strong wind? That is our young madam's deep affection for the master." No. Yun Wangxiao's eyes widened with rage. He roared, "Impossible, I don't believe it. You must have forced her, you must have. You are all damned, you should all die." With a thought, he suddenly triggered the heavenly thunder 6 parts within Jiang Fan's body. The same scene as before happened. Jiang Fan was once again restrained by the heavenly thunder 6 parts, unable to move. But this time the rebellious guy was well prepared, taking out a space storage device. Inside it was the Angel Clan's blood that Yun Wangxiao had given to Jiang Fan. With a reverse pour by the rebellious guy, a large amount of Angel Clan's blood was spilled, drenching Jiang Fan. The markings of heavenly thunder 6 parts on his body immediately extinguished. He was able to move again. "Just as I thought." Jiang Fan wiped a bit of Angel Clan's blood, smiling faintly. "You lied to me, saying the blood of the Angel Clan harms the human body. In fact, it suppresses your control over heavenly thunder 6 parts, right?" Update earlier, when dealing with Yun Wangxiao, the other party was reluctant to give him Angel's blood. After giving it, he warned him not to touch it, saying it would harm his body. But Yun Wangxiao didn't know that Jiang Fan had long been exposed to the blood of the Angel Clan. The other party deceived him, not letting him come into contact with Angel's blood, definitely to cover up something. And there weren't many things on Jiang Fan related to the heavenly realm. The hidden danger of the Heavenly Thunder 6 parts was even easier to associate with. Yun Wongseo stared in shock at Jiang Fan. You were already on guard against me using the Heavenly Thunder 6 parts on you. How did you know? Did K tell you? If he hadn't been on guard, the little green dragon wouldn't have immediately poured out Angel's blood to resolve the crisis. That man and beast must have communicated secretly long ago. Jiang Fan said calmly, if Keoj knew that the Heavenly Thunder 6 parts was harmful, she wouldn't have given me yin-yang heaven. I know because I was once controlled by your angel clan. He gazed into Yun Wongseo's eyes, trying to discern something. Unfortunately, Yun Wongseo also knew nothing. Are there other angels in the Central Earth realm? Is there such a thing? His face showed a look of astonishment and doubt. This information needed to be reported to the upper ranks of the angel clan. But that's not important anymore. The urgent matter at hand is to deal with Jiang Fan. His eyes flashed with a cold light, the killing intent even stronger than flowing Edgewild's. Dare to touch my Keoj, I will tear you to pieces. Jiang Fan's eyes shone coldly, and a jade talisman dropped from his sleeve. It was the domain given to him by the Jiangshan first-class building owner before leaving, one of the few life-saving assets not intercepted by the Giant Emperor and the 10 sins of Central Earth. He decisively crushed it. A wave of the heavenly human 5 declines domain swept around. Everyone was on guard, but as it passed over them, it didn't cause any effect. Only when it swept over Yun Wongseo, he frowned slightly, vaguely sensing some changes in his body. He wanted to resist this domain, but he had long exhausted his holy source, and earlier in the escape from the dead soul, he used up the power of laws. He couldn't withstand the domain before him. He could only rely on his powerful cultivation to suppress it as much as possible. What domain is this? Yun Wongseo called out in shock and doubt. In the next moment, a shocking scene occurred. The crown fused atop his head suddenly vanished without a trace. Then, his left hand empty, the gourd tightly clutched in his palm also disappeared out of thin air. When it reappeared, both items were in Jiang Fan's hand. Jiang Fan donned the crown once again. A pillar of unmatched light, 260 feet high, shot into the sky, overwhelming the heroes of the 100 realms. The Tai Chu prison sky gourd, he hung it on his waist. He glared coldly at Yun Wongseo. Did you really think my things were so easy to take? Yun Wongseo's eyes were sharp as he scolded. Give it back to me. Jiang Fan snorted. It's not over yet. With a hum, a bone sword appeared in Jiang Fan's palm, surprisingly the sword nurtured by Yun Wongseo's body, full of holy qi. Then, the space storage device on Yun Wongseo's body also flew into Jiang Fan's hand. Yun Wongseo was filled with a mix of shock and anger. What have you done to me? Jiang Fan tossed the bone sword into the heavenly thunder stone, pocketed the space storage device, and said calmly, this is the domain of a highly respected elder from the human clan. It's called Return 1,000-fold. For anything taken from me under this domain, you need to repay 1,000-fold. Unfortunately, you are too poor. Taking my gourd and merits only makes you return a sword and a storage device. Consider yourself lucky. The crowd was shocked, yet wore peculiar expressions. Wasn't Return 1,000-fold the trademark of that notorious black market dealer? How could it be associated with a person of high virtue and respect? They couldn't picture a greedy black market dealer as someone virtuous and respected. Yun Wongseo was furious. So you've anticipated that I would make a move against you all along. You dug a trap for me to jump into? He thought he was the hunter, catching Jiang Fan off guard. But in the end, Jiang Fan was the true hunter. He had dug a pitfall for him, waiting for him to jump in. Jiang Fan said calmly, I wasn't deliberately framing you. If you sincerely helped me, I would have returned the favor. If you planned to scheme against me, you would naturally fall into the trap. As it turned out, when he was last controlled by the Heavenly Thunder 6 parts, it was a deliberate act of weakness for Yun Wongseo, letting him take his crown and fuse the 2 crowns together. In this way, Jiang Fan could acquire the strongest fused crown without bloodshed. Of course, if Yun Wongseo truly had noble intentions, Jiang Fan would have to waste 2 uses of the Tai Chu prison sky gourd, forcibly killing Flowing Edge Wilds and the Heavenly Sword. As for their crowns, it wouldn't be so easy to fall into their hands. After all, young Master Xiang, Yun Wongseo, and the powerful figures from many realms were around. Fortunately, Yun Wongseo didn't disappoint him. Jiang Fan only used Xia Keoj's golden feather and the building owner's domain to successfully acquire what he desired. The precious opportunity to use the Tai Chu prison sky gourd was not wasted once. Yun Wongxiao sneered angrily. From the first meeting, he sensed the heavenly thunder 6 parts on Jiang Fan, deciding to use it as a pawn. Unexpectedly, Jiang Fan played him completely. "Jiang Fan!" he roared, furious rage shaking off his hair crown. His black long hair wildly scattered and danced. Clearly a pure angel, yet at this moment gave the impression of a demon path overlord. "You deserve death 1,000 times." Flowing Edge Wilds, briefly stunned, joined in with a cold laugh. "Jiang Fan, you're too clever for your own good. Look around you, are you still pleased with yourself?" No need to look. Jiang Fan knew he had become everyone's target, including young Master Xiang, a 260 feet high pillar of light, an uncrowned king, already the target of countless arrows. Yet his expression was calm, as if it were all anticipated. "Green Pearl, what's up, husband?" Green Pearl ran over, linking arms with Jiang Fan. Jiang Fan gently patted her hand, saying, "Can I ask you a favor?" Green Pearl's eyes only had images of Jiang Fan, nodding repeatedly. "I've always said I would do anything you say. You don't need to ask my opinion in the future. Whatever you want me to do, I'll agree. Just as long as you don't leave me again." Jiang Fan smiled and said, "I hope you'll stay in the ancient wilderness hunting ground until the hunt is over." Green Pearl asked, puzzled. "Leaving me alone? Where are you going?" Jiang Fan surveyed the hostile groups of various world powerhouses surrounding him like wolves and tigers. He quietly took out a blue wish paper and said, "I'm going to a very distant place." He glanced at the black river behind him out of the corner of his eye. With so many people attacking him and the fearsome young master Xiang within, Jiang Fan couldn't even withstand a single encounter. The only place to evade was within the Black River. Once he goes, he will be plunged into an unknown battlefield. Whether he can return is uncertain. Therefore, he needs Green Pearl to represent the Central Earth in the ancient wilderness hunting ground. Even if he doesn't return, if Green Pearl survives to the end, the war in the Central Earth will cease. However, before leaving, he wants to pull off a major move. The moment the paper talisman appeared, it immediately caught everyone's attention. Young Master Xiang abruptly unsheathed his sword, and the powerful law force surged from the sword, enveloping him. "It's a sage-level wish paper." There was a certain gravity in his voice. Liu Bianwang, Heavenly Sword, and Yun Wongxiao all looked extremely shocked. Once the sage-level wish paper is activated, the divinity transformation realm beings have no power to resist. It could even wish for the death of a great venerate amongst them. Liu Bianwang shuddered and shouted, "Don't give him a chance to activate it." Heavenly Sword and Yun Wongxiao also snapped back from their shock. Indeed, it takes time for the wish paper to activate, and their great venerates of the heavenly human 5 declines are sufficient to interrupt it. Wish, wish, wish. The 3 of them vanished from the spot, simultaneously rushing towards Jiang Fan, not giving him a chance to activate it. Yet Jiang Fan laughed heartily, riding the white tiger, and leaped into the Black River. The 3 were startled, quickly stopping at the riverbank, not daring to pursue him. Looking at Jiang Fan, he directly jumped into the river, raising the wish paper high. The hearts of the 3 pounded, but none dared to jump into the river to intercept him. They could only watch Jiang Fan make his wish with wide eyes. "All those hostile towards me, follow me to Central Earth," his loud voice echoed all around. Everyone's expressions drastically changed. Jiang Fan was actually going to drag them into the Forbidden Land, teleporting to an unknown world of intense battle. "No, I don't want to go. I don't want the battle achievements, I just want to live. Jiang Daoyu, have mercy." Once they go to Central Earth, if they don't return on time, the consequence will be considered death. And this would make the battle in their own world unable to stop. Initially, they had fled here to be completely safe, just waiting for the hunting period to end. They would leave alive. But now, because of greed for Jiang Fan's battle merits, they would even lose the right to continue living. Liu Bianwang was outraged. "You dare?" Heavenly Sword was even more terrified. "Stop!" Others are unclear about the situation in Central Earth, but coming from the southern heavenly realm, how could he not be clear? It is not exaggerated to say that Central Earth is one of the world's closest to destruction. Teleporting there, it's simply impossible to aid Central Earth in achieving a decisive victory within 3 two-hour periods. Jiang Fan coldly stared at them, decisively activating the wish paper. With a ripping sound, the wish paper burned on the spot, turning into ashes. The enormous wish power swept across the surroundings, enveloping everyone. "No, I don't want to go." Liu Bianwang struggled to instantaneous movement away to the distance. But the wish power forcibly intercepted his teleportation, pulling him into the river first. No other reason, Liu Bianwang harbored the deepest hostility towards Jiang Fan. Yun Wangxiao also attempted to flee, but with his hostility second only to Liu Bianwang, he too was dragged into the river amidst unwilling roars. Next was Heavenly Sword. Finally, it was those strong men attempting to besiege Jiang Fan from various realms. No one was spared, all falling into the river. Splash, splash. Amidst the rushing waves, they couldn't even scream before they were silently submerged. Young Master Xiang was unaffected. He merely looked at the numerous strong men all taken to Central Earth, slightly shaking his head. A king without competitors, is that truly a king? I shall also join you in the battle in Central Earth. He leaped, voluntarily stepping into the Black River. Ha ha ha, the heavens assist me. On the riverbank, only 5 people remained, including Jiang Yishan. Upon arriving here, he knew that no matter how he competed for the crown, it wouldn't be his, so he gave up on the competition. Unexpectedly, this misfortune turned into a blessing, leaving him unharmed. What made him ecstatic was that among the remaining 5, there was a heavenly human second-decline strong man who had performed poorly in battle achievements, only capturing 10 heads, so no one competed for his. Now, since young Master Xiang and the others have gone to another world, if they don't return with the mere 10 captures left, he could become the first place, and relying on his poison skills, claiming the crown would be easy. Ha ha ha, brother Jiang, you truly are my Jiang Yishan's lucky star. Thank you for sending the first place my way, brother, I'll take it, ha ha ha. Bam! Suddenly, a foot kicked him fiercely in the back. Precisely and swiftly, Jiang Yishan was kicked flying on the spot, splashing into the Black River with a thud. At the same time, Green Pearl's faint hum sounded behind him. Get down there! Jiang Yishan instantly recognized the voice, seething with anger. Ah, you heartless couple! Blub! Blub! Amidst the curses, he swiftly sank down. Green Pearl turned her gaze to the remaining 3, and when her gaze fixed on the heavenly human second-decline strong man. The man shivered, wisely removing the crown. I don't want the crown anymore, don't kick me. Green Pearl grabbed it from afar, giggled as she wore it on her head. If my husband returns, it's his first place. If he doesn't return, it's my first place. The first place is already ours, it won't escape no matter what. Hey heh. The 3 huddled, shivering in the corner. This infamous couple of Central Earth, who will stand against them? Above the sky, the divinity transformation realm beings on both sides all looked grim. Sir, isn't this inappropriate? He leaves his own wife in the hunting ground as a backup, takes the others to fight. Whether they return from Central Earth or not, they'll still be first. Can a human come up with this kind of method? It's even more inhumane to drag all the strong men into Central Earth to help kill ancient giants for them. Can it be played like this? Watching their own world's representatives being so thoroughly played by Jiang Fan, their defenses were completely shattered. The hunting ground master leaned on his throne, propping his cheek, speaking with interest. The only rule in the hunting ground is that anything can be hunted. Everything else is unrestricted. Only then did the divinity transformation realm beings at the sides quiet down, each more ill-looking than the last, feeling as if they had swallowed live flies. However, the hunting ground master chuckled again, this kid is indeed a bit unusual, dragging strong men from other worlds to do hard labor for his Central Earth. Credit to him for having the idea. In the future, add a rule that only humans can come to the hunting ground. As for this time, let it pass, implicitly meaning to let it slide. Everyone still wore sullen expressions, feeling utterly uncomfortable. Ling Xuzi also felt uncomfortable, but it was the discomfort of suppressing his laughter. Who could have imagined that Jiang Fan, as the weakest divinity transformation realm, would showcase such extraordinary maneuvers, stunning everyone? Central Earth truly sent a most fitting representative. No, perhaps even Central Earth didn't expect Jiang Fan to perform this way. Central Earth. A crack appeared in the void amidst cries, curses, and furious shouts. A group of people fell out from it. Jiang Fan landed first. Breathing in the air filled with vast energy, he showed a look of surprise, gazing at the handful of ashes in his hand, murmuring, I've really returned to Central Earth. Wong Xiao, falling into the Black River would randomly transport you to a battlefield. However, under the interference of the wish paper, a specified transmission was executed. No matter if Central Earth can defeat the ancient giants in the next 6 hours with Green Pearl in the hunting ground, this time is already stable. Jiang Fan, scoundrel, give me your life. You've made it impossible for my world war to settle. I am irreconcilable with you. Jiang Fan quickly turned around, looking at the angry faces that seemed to want to eat him alive. He steadily said, "Think carefully before you act, folks. This is Central Earth. If you kill me, will the strong ones of Central Earth allow you to leave alive?" The crowd's expressions slightly froze. Even Liubian Wong, whose murderous intent was sky-high, had to restrain his killing urge. This was Jiang Fan's turf, after all. As a representative of Central Earth, the sages of this realm would undoubtedly protect Jiang Fan. Whoever dared to kill him would likely die here instead. Seeing the crowd's mood calm a little, Jiang Fan continued, "Since you're all here, let's go together and repel the ancient giants." Upon hearing this, Jiang Yishan immediately stomped his foot. "You brought us all here and now you want us to help you kill the enemy. Are you crazy or do we look stupid?" This statement rekindled the crowd's anger. The bastard hurt them and now expects them to act like free labor. Outrageous. Jiang Fan picked his ear and then blew off the earwax from his fingertip, speaking slowly. "You can choose not to fight, but if Central Earth doesn't win in 3 hours, none of you will return to the hunting ground. And the war in your worlds will not stop. So, you are not fighting for Central Earth now, but for your own worlds, understood?" Having said that, he rode the white tiger into the air and said, "I've said my piece, it's up to you whether to join or not." Only then did everyone realize the issue at stake. The success or failure of Central Earth was indeed tied to the cessation or continuation of their world wars. If they watched Central Earth fall, they would gain nothing good either. However, to help Central Earth win felt worse than eating dung. Jiang Yishan gritted his teeth until they almost broke, cursed as he took flight, treating me like a beast of burden and saying it's for my own good. Jiang Fan, not even the heart of Sin Realm's Kiki is as black as yours," he cursed while following Jiang Fan onward. The other powerful beings from various worlds cursed as they rose into the air. Liubian Wong was practically steaming from his 7 orifices. "This bastard! If I can't return to the hunting ground, I won't let Central Earth have it easy." With a flicker of his figure, he followed closely behind. The heavenly sword pulled a long face, eyes cold. "Unfortunately, we Dark Shura clan are not threatened by the ancient giants. They pose no threat to us. Since I've come to Central Earth, how can I not leave him a gift?" He scanned the surroundings, eyes filled with murderous intent. He intended to slaughter Central Earth, to take revenge on Jiang Fan. Tian Qin beside him furrowed her brows and said, "Brother, don't act rashly. What if Central Earth is currently in a favorable position? They could spare some strong ones to regard you as part of the ancient giants and wipe you out along with them." The heavenly sword hesitated, then huffed. "The ancient giants have come out in full force. It's a miracle Taikang state hasn't been annihilated already." "How could they be in a favorable position?" Tian Qin said. "But what if? Better to check the battlefield situation first." The heavenly sword was reluctant, but out of caution, unwillingly flashed toward the battlefield. Lastly, Yun Wangxiao paused for a while. He closed his eyes, and the holy light surged within him, spreading in all directions. He was searching for Xia Caoj, but since Xia Caoj was not in this great state, he couldn't sense her. "Damn it, can anyone tell me if Caoj is with Jiang Fan or not?" Watching the others leave, he gritted his teeth and could only follow. The urgent task was to figure out how to return to the ancient wilderness hunting ground. After returning, he would settle accounts with Jiang Fan, Hunyuan State, connecting sky black pillar. The firmament was pierced with one massive hole after another, magma gushed from the earth, and blazing flames scorched the sky. 10,000 miles of terrain had been turned into desolation, just like the extreme east of Taikang State. Everywhere were the corpses of the giant king and the human clan's divinity transformation beings. Scattered chaotically, they were strewn all over the battlefield. At this moment, 3 heavenly person declined humans were jointly slaughtering a 1-star giant king. Despite the 1-star giant king being vicious and fighting desperately like a trapped beast defying fate, it was still no match for the trio's combined force. Soon, with an unwilling roar, it collapsed with a crash, and similar scenes of outnumbering were everywhere. Roughly counting, there were 50 human clan heavenly person decline and only 21-star giant kings, an almost 3-to-1 situation. It wouldn't take long for all the 1-star giant kings to be wiped out. The situation was overwhelmingly favorable. The Blood Moon King defended against Red Sleeve's strikes while assessing the situation, feeling anxious. "Why hasn't our reinforcements arrived yet?" Red Sleeves adjusted her glasses and said, "The heavenly state is half a day's distance from here. They won't make it in time. Total annihilation is inevitable." Not just on the heavenly person decline level, the human clan was exhibiting a crushing stance. On the heavenly human 2 declines, 3 declines, and 4 declines levels, the human clan was also gradually gaining the upper hand. This was with the heavenly remnant city lord not fully exerting himself. If a heavenly human 5 declines came in, even these levels of combat would see the human clan crush the opposition. The Blood Moon King's eyes were filled with unwillingness. 130 against 100, clearly it was the giants who should have been crushing. In the end, they were facing total annihilation instead, and the root cause was only one person, Jiang Fan. It was Jiang Fan who, with his flawless domain, killed more than 50 heavenly human 1 declines and 2 declines, reversing the human clan's disadvantage. It was also Jiang Fan who forced the heavenly remnant city lord to slaughter the ancient giants of 3 declines and 4 declines. Otherwise, the one losing would definitely be the human clan. Jiang Fan, you are the lifelong enemy of us ancient giants. Even if I die, I must hold on to the end and wait for reinforcements. As he muttered about Jiang Fan, suddenly a series of terrifying auras erupted from the distant sky and earth. Ranging from heavenly person decline, some heavenly human 5 declines. The quantity was extremely vast, a full 40 plus. Such a sudden arrival of so many strong beings instantly drew the entire field's attention. Suspicious to the point where both sides temporarily ceased fighting, they focused intently on the newcomers. Red Sleeves retreated to the Star Mountain Lord's side, slightly frowning. Is it your Central Earth's backup reinforcements? The Star Mountain Lord's expression was grim. No, among the arrivals there are at least 5 great venerates, dozens in 3 declines and 4 declines. If Central Earth had such a contingent, it would have pressed on long ago. Iceheart Venerate worriedly said, I heard there is a group of marauders in the void who roam around, specifically taking advantage of worlds invaded to loot. Could this be them? Wanbing Venerate also backed over, speaking solemnly. Among them are human clan, demon race, Usura, and even angel clan. Such a mixed group usually belongs to bandits. Hardly any other force fits this profile. Seeing us on the brink of a great victory, they chose this moment to spring forth. The human clan side was all in serious spirits. The ancient giant side, however, finally got a breather. Taking this chance, they rallied the remnants, looking hopefully at the suddenly appearing mighty forces. The Blood Moon King chuckled. Seems like the heavens still favor our side. Seeing our giants are outmatched, it sent some unknown powerhouses to stir up the situation. Heh. But as he laughed, his expression suddenly froze. Because leading the charge on the battlefield was a massive white tiger of a heavenly human 5 declines great venerate. On the tiger's forehead stood a black-clad youth. This visage, the Blood Moon King would never forget, even in death.